Chapter 2064. After the confinement, Gu Xingyin's body recovered well. Finally, the system reminded her of something again. It was about Su Jiao. She didn't have a good time recently. To be precise, it seemed to have started 3 months ago. There was a conflict between her and Xiao Long. The husband and wife, who were originally getting along harmoniously, began to dislike each other. After Gu Xingyin found out what kind of life the two of them had after getting married, he understood that there was no such thing as true love between the two of them. People who had feelings would never tolerate the other party's disloyalty to them. As for a man like Xiao Long, it was fine when he liked you. It could be said that he would give you whatever you wanted. But if he didn't like you, he would have 100 ways to punish you. They used to have a tacit understanding between them. But now, it had become one of Su Jiao's original sins in his eyes. Su Jiao was about to go crazy from the torture. She was locked in a dark room without any light. She was stripped naked and poured hot wax on her body. She was tied to a wooden frame with her limbs wide open and whipped with a special whip. The first time when Gu Xingyin gave birth was when she had her first emotional breakdown. The system remembered the host's reminder and was about to tell her about it. Gu Xingyin was too tired and fell asleep. When she woke up again, the system chose to hide this matter. Until her body, which was damaged by the delivery, recovered. Only then did the system tell Gu Xingyin what had happened. After another month, Su Jiao was about to go crazy from the torture. Lying on the damp bed, Su Jiao regretted it too much. She regretted more than once that she provoked Xiao Long, the devil. She was sure that this man was definitely mentally abnormal. There was no fierce conflict between them. It was just a small dispute between her and him. But later, she didn't know that her words stimulated Xiao Long. His face suddenly became ferocious. And then, Su Jiao couldn't help but tremble. She trembled when she thought about what happened after that. Xiao Long was simply a lunatic. He took pleasure in torturing her all day long. What made Su Jian despair was that she didn't have any communication tools with her. She was locked in this small room with no way to escape or contact the outside world. She was afraid that one day, she would die here without anyone knowing. There was a chance to save Gu Xingyin. As long as she called the police or asked Xiao Qing to step in, no matter how crazy Xiao Long was, he would not disrespect the Xiao family. However, Gu Xingyin did not say anything, nor did she do anything. It was Su Jiao's own decision to choose Xiao Long. The most important thing was that when she heard about Su Jiao's fate, she would remember what happened to Su Jian in the original plot. Compared to Su Jiao, Su Jian was more innocent and pitiful. Just because of Su Jiao's selfishness, she lost her life. Perhaps in the cycle of reincarnation, Su Jiao would eventually receive retribution for what she had done. 1.5 months later, Gu Xingyin finally received the news. Su Jiao was dead. It was said that in the dark, she broke the cup she was drinking from against the wall and slit her wrist. Because it was discovered too late, she lost too much blood. It was said that the scene was quite bloody. Originally, Xiao Long wanted to destroy the corpse and the evidence, but Gu Xingyin took action at this time. She didn't intend to let Su Jiao go, let alone Xiao Long. The witness and material evidence were conclusive. This adulterous couple could continue to go to the netherworld and torture themselves. Everything was over. However, Gu Xingyin looked at her parents who had obviously aged a lot, and she felt a little guilty. The only thing she felt sorry for was this couple. She glanced at her husband beside her, and then at her parents who were not far away. She would spend the rest of her life being a good wife, a good mother, and a good daughter. This world was over. By the way, the story of this world actually had a prototype, and it was not an isolated phenomenon. Perhaps because it was close to the end, I was very anxious and felt that no matter how I wrote it, it would be wrong. I was not very satisfied with the ending of this story, but I really tried my best. Finally, To answer the question of the ending baby, in the main part of this story, there will be content of 2 worlds. After that, there will be some other worlds. Chapter 2065. It was dark all around. Gu Xingyin could not open her eyes. She could roughly sense that she seemed to be in a huge sealed space. She could not breathe, did not need to breathe, and her 5 senses were weak. She had consciousness, but it seemed to be completely bound to this body. "System," she called out. Fortunately, the system's voice sounded. "Host." Gu Xingyin breathed a sigh of relief and asked, "What's going on with this world?" As soon as she finished speaking, a message rushed into her mind. Because her consciousness was somewhat muddled, even her thinking speed slowed down. After reading the entire plot, Gu Xingyin breathed out. Strictly speaking, she was now a corpse, and the environment she was in was the tomb that the original body had built for herself a few thousand years ago. Perhaps, it would be more appropriate to describe it as a sealed place. Huang Tian, the youngest and most powerful great sage in the history of the Phoenix clan. Under her leadership, the Phoenix clan was a famous first-rate clan in the entire Tianxian continent. When the Phoenix clan's reputation was at its peak, Huang Tian suddenly foresaw an ominous future when she was offering sacrifices. 30 years later, the Phoenix clan's earth veins had a problem. Their foundation collapsed, and their ancestral land fell. This series of unforeseen events caused the entire Phoenix clan to fall from a first-rate clan to a second-rate clan in a short 10 years. They were bullied and ridiculed countless times. Huang Tian, who had devoted her life to revitalizing her clan, naturally could not stand by and do nothing. After searching through countless ancient books but to no avail, she finally made a decision. She would use herself, who had the purest bloodline and the strongest power in the entire Phoenix clan, as a guide to suppress the Phoenix clan's earth veins. What level had Huang Tian's cultivation reached? In the Tianxian continent, cultivation of profound qi was the main focus. The realms were divided into profound practitioner, profound master, profound king, profound ancestor, profound venerable, and profound sage. There was also the legendary profound god realm, which could live as long as the heavens and earth. And Huang Tian had already taken that step. If the change in the earth veins had come a few hundred years later, she would have completely entered the profound god realm and would not have to be afraid of this problem. Unfortunately, the timing was too coincidental. She could only use the array as a guide and seal herself within it to suppress the Phoenix clan's earth veins. Now, 1,000 years had passed. The great calamity of the Phoenix clan had already been forcefully suppressed by Huang Tian. The Phoenix clan was still a famous first-rate clan in the Tianxian land. Huang Tian's resting place had always been the sacred ground of the Phoenix clan. No one had ever thought that this great sage who had once done so much for the Phoenix clan had not truly died. If nothing unexpected happened, Huang Tian might continue to sleep in this sealed place for another 1,000 years. Until a grave robber broke the silence. That female mysterious sect called Chen Xiaoxiao, in this world, is a professional tomb robber who makes a living by robbing tombs. Her codename was Yi Sha, and she was considered to be one of the most famous people in the profound sky continent. Moreover, she had a habit of not falling unless it was a large tomb. She would not patronize ordinary tombs at all. The target she chose this time was the sacred ground of the Phoenix clan. It could be said that he was quite bold. For such a large clan, it would be a great humiliation if their sacred ground was stolen. At that time, Chen Xiaoxiao would definitely face the full pursuit of the entire Phoenix clan. Chapter 2066. However, Chen Xiaoxiao was already wanted by several clans. Perhaps it was because she had too many debts to bear. To her, one more or one less made no difference. Yi Sha was not short of money. She only enjoyed the pleasure of personally lifting the veil of the great tomb, as well as the feeling of superiority when she angered those great clans and watched them be helpless. She found Huang Tian's tomb. The restrictions and arrays of the tomb had long lost their effect under the erosion of time. Chen Xiaoxiao did not encounter any danger along the way. She also found Huang Tian lying in a 10,000-year-old ice coffin, whose face had not changed for thousands of years. She was immediately astonished and wanted to take the coffin out with her. She did not know where she touched, but just like that, the weak seal on Huang Tian's body was broken. Huang Tian woke up. Thousands of years of sleep had made her mind very messy, and her limbs had deteriorated to the point that she could barely move. She instinctively wanted to attack this outsider. Chen Xiaoxiao could be considered to have narrowly escaped death. Although this zombie, in front of her could not move, she was not easy to deal with. She did not know what cultivation level she had been when she was alive, but her attack could not even hurt her. Chen Xiaoxiao, who had almost fallen into despair, suddenly remembered the cultivation method she had been practicing when she was young. She had to try everything she could. She did not know what kind of luck she had encountered, but Chen Xiaoxiao had succeeded. She, a profound ancestor, had relied on a secret method to absorb more than half of the cultivation of a half-step divine spirit realm expert above the profound sage realm. Huang Tian did not die because of her cultivation level that was close to that of a god. Once this was lost, the power of time showed. Chen Xiaoxiao watched as this peerless beauty turned into a shriveled old woman in front of her. Then, she turned into a pile of bones and finally turned into ashes. Only a long robe made of an unknown material was left on the ground. As for her, she had almost died from the explosion of her cultivation base. But she had almost died. After all, she had not died. Not only had she not died, but she had also benefited from this disaster. She had spent 20 years refining Huang Tian's power and broke through from the profound ancestor realm to the profound sage realm. A profound sage was already the strongest expert in the entire profound sky continent. The first thing Chen Xiaoxiao did after she succeeded was to take revenge. He wanted to take revenge on those families that had once hunted him down and injured him. The Phoenix clan was naturally among them. His cultivation had been absorbed by someone else and used to harm the family he had protected with all his heart. Even if he died, Huang Tian would not die in peace. Gu Xingyin came back to her senses. A tear fell from the corner of her tightly shut eyes. This was Huang Tian's emotion. Huang Tian's stubbornness vanished along with the teardrop. The one who stayed behind was Gu Xingyin, her replacement. "Can I wake up earlier?" Gu Xingyin asked. If Huang Tian could wake up earlier and adapt to his new body, then even Chen Xiaoxiao would only be sending herself to death. The system's white light flashed. "That depends on your ability, host." In fact, Gu Xingyin's arrival in this world was already considered a cheat. The reason why Huang Tian could not wake up was not only because no one had broken the seal here, but also because thousands of years of sleep had caused Huang Tian's consciousness to be in a state of disorientation. Gu Xingyin's arrival had directly skipped this step. What she needed to do now was to break the seal before Chen Xiaoxiao arrived. "Today is a visit from relatives, so I can't stay up late. 5 chapters, tomorrow 7 chapters, ha. Good night, everyone." In addition, the V group and welfare group will stop joining at 12 p.m. tonight. Red packets will be given out tomorrow at noon. If you have enough fan points, remember to join the group and receive red packets. Chapter 2067. System. Draw skills. Gu Xingyin was speechless. She was speechless when she saw the results. She knew that most of the skills were useless. For example, the improved affinity halo that came from the Elven Queen. Effect, increased the initial favorability of others by 30%. In short, it was very useful when it came to face recognition. But what was the use of this for Huang Tian? The system even comforted her. "Don't be upset. With the abilities of the female lead in this world, she doesn't need any assistance. She was someone who stood at the top of the world. Thinking about it, that was indeed the case. Now, there were only 2 months left until Chen Xiaoxiao arrived at this sealed land. In these 2 months, she had to find a way to completely break the seal and gain control of this body. Gu Xingyin immediately closed her eyes. Her body was very heavy. Although her consciousness was clear, the power of her soul was extremely scattered. It was as if there was no way to gather it together. She had no control over her body at all. In this situation, she couldn't even open her eyes, let alone break the seal. Gu Xingyin gritted her teeth. She could only rely on her powerful soul power to forcibly gather the power of her soul that had been scattered for thousands of years. This process was very uncomfortable. Almost every time she moved those souls, Gu Xingyin's mind would spin for a long time. Fortunately, this body couldn't move at all. Otherwise, Gu Xingyin was really worried that she would vomit. Time passed slowly in this situation. In the beginning, Gu Xingyin could occasionally chat with the system and observe the progress of the process. Later, she grasped some tricks and became more and more proficient in gathering the scattered souls. Gradually, her entire body and mind were immersed in it. At a certain place far away, a woman with sharp and ruthless eyes had already set her sights on this region. I heard that the Phoenix clan has a sacred land that no one except the core members can enter. The woman stuck out her tongue and licked her bright red lips. She smiled seductively. I want to see what treasures are in this sacred land. Success. Gu Xingyin was overjoyed. At the same time, in the ice coffin in the holy land of the Phoenix clan, the corpse that had been sleeping quietly for thousands of years suddenly opened its eyes. Gu Xingyin saw her surroundings for the first time. It wasn't as dark and gloomy as she had imagined. On the contrary, it was rather bright. Because she was lying down, Gu Xingyin could only see several large luminous pearls embedded in the high dome. Rather than a graveyard, it looked more like a magnificent palace. Gu Xingyin sensed that her body was very stiff at the moment. Just as she was about to move, a faint sound came from beside her. At the same time, a system notification sounded, "Host, you're awake. This world's mission target has appeared." 2 months had passed. Before he could speak to the system, the door to this gorgeous tomb that had not been touched by anyone for thousands of years suddenly opened. Chen Xiaoxiao, dressed in black, appeared at the entrance of the tomb. Her eyes widened in shock. This is actually not a sacred land. Rather, it is the treasure vault of the Phoenix clan, right? She looked around with great interest and her gaze was attracted by something on the high platform. Chapter 2068. It was a square-shaped container. She could not tell what material it was made of. From afar, it looked transparent. However, she could not see what was inside. Intuition told Chen Xiaoxiao that the thing inside should be the core of this sacred place. This intuition had allowed Chen Xiaoxiao to obtain countless treasures. It had also allowed her to avoid fatal pursuits many times. She secretly operated the profound qi inside her body and let it circulate through her entire body. Step by step, she approached that high platform. She knew that the square-shaped container was imprinted in her eyes. Hiss. Chen Xiaoxiao drew in a breath of cold air. This was clearly a coffin. Chen Xiaoxiao's gaze was completely attracted by the figure inside the coffin. She believed that she had traveled all over the Tianxian land for so many years. Yet, she had never seen a person with such grace as the one before her. Regardless of gender. The woman lying inside the coffin wore a silver-white long robe. On it, a phoenix and cloud pattern were embroidered with silk threads of the same color. Even until now, the Phoenix clan's usual clothes were embroidered with these two patterns. Chen Xiaoxiao's attention fell on that face. Even with her mental state of the Xian sect, her mind could not help but waver. Too beautiful. Her facial features, her brows and eyes, not a single part of it was not meticulously drawn. Every detail was perfect. However, the most moving thing about the woman before her was not her beauty, but her grace. The beauty of a person's appearance was in the form. Although it could make people sigh in admiration, it could not make people shocked. However, the woman in front of him was simply lying down, but she gave him the illusion that her body was glowing. He couldn't help but have the urge to worship her. Chen Xiaoxiao could not help but wonder how such a person looked like when she was alive. Looking at her clothing, this person did not seem to be from this era. Could it be that she was one of the ancestors of the Phoenix clan? As she thought about it, her hands unconsciously landed on that cold ice coffin. A bold thought emerged in her mind: if she took away the corpse of this ancestor of the Phoenix clan and claimed it as her own, those arrogant fellows of the Phoenix clan would most likely go crazy, right? Chen Xiaoxiao, who was immersed in her fantasy, did not realize that from the moment her hand touched the cold ice coffin, the ice that should have been immortal for tens of thousands of years started to crack bit by bit. Crack! Chen Xiaoxiao suddenly came back to her senses. After realizing what had happened, she raised her speed to the limit and retreated rapidly. At the same time, the large ice coffins exploded one after another. Chen Xiaoxiao suddenly felt a great sense of panic. It felt as if she was being stared at by an extremely terrifying ferocious beast. If he didn't leave, he would die. She suddenly had such a clear understanding. Be decisive. Chen Xiaoxiao didn't say a word and shot out of the sacred grounds. However, her movements came to a halt in midair. There seemed to be an invisible wall in front of her, blocking her movements. Not only that, Chen Xiaoxiao also noticed that the composition of the air seemed to have changed. An invisible energy surrounded her. In this kind of environment, the profound energy in her body was like ice and snow meeting the scorching sun, and was rapidly melting away at a terrifying speed. The situation was very bad. A word fell heavily on her heart. Domain. Chapter 2069. Apart from a domain, what else could have such power? Could it be that the Phoenix clan was so abnormal that they actually sent a profound sage powerhouse to protect their holy land? A domain was the symbol of a profound sage powerhouse. The domain of a profound sage powerhouse was within their absolute control. Within a domain, the owner of the domain was the absolute ruler. Chen Xiaoxiao clenched her teeth and turned around. The scene in front of her caused her to break out in cold sweat. At this moment, the ice coffin had already disappeared. In its place was a figure standing there. Chen Xiaoxiao was not unfamiliar with this figure at all. Because not long ago, she had looked at her condescendingly and sighed at her rare beauty. At that time, Chen Xiaoxiao had still secretly felt that it was a pity. Who knew how magnificent such a person would be when she opened her eyes? But at this moment, when she truly saw her, she was not in the mood to marvel at her beauty. Killing intent. Chen Xiaoxiao could clearly feel the killing intent coming from the profound sage powerhouse opposite her. Chen Xiaoxiao was filled with regret. If she had known that there was a profound sage powerhouse lying in the holy land of the Phoenix clan, even if she was given 100 guts, she would never have dared to come. Her mind spun rapidly, thinking about how to obtain a chance of survival in such a situation. But reality did not give her much chance to react. Chen Xiaoxiao looked at the profound sage powerhouse who was so beautiful that she did not seem like a mortal. She stretched out her hand, and a huge palm shadow quickly condensed behind her. A terrifying pressure directly pressed down on her. Before Chen Xiaoxiao could escape, the huge palm swiftly and violently slapped down on her. She could not avoid it. Chen Xiaoxiao closed her eyes in despair. Gu Xingyin indifferently looked at the bold grave robber who had lost his life in her hands. After confirming that the system had reminded her that the target had died, her body suddenly trembled. Her expression changed, and she seemed to be unable to bear something. She struggled to support herself on the high platform behind her to prevent herself from collapsing. He had just broken through the seal and had to use such a powerful cultivation technique. For this stiff body of his, the pressure was still too much. After resting for a while, Gu Xingyin stretched out her hand and moved a praying mat over, then slowly sat down. She knew that it wouldn't be long before someone came looking for her. If the Huang clan was unable to detect such a huge change in the clan's sacred ground, then there was nothing for Huang Tian to be reluctant to leave such an idiot clan. In fact, the people of the Phoenix clan had arrived earlier than Gu Xingyin had expected. Furthermore, the people who came were all important figures of the Phoenix clan. Gu Xingyin looked at the members of the Phoenix clan who were wearing black robes with golden embroidery. She combined them with her memories of Huang Tian and came to a conclusion. Yes, after a few thousand years, the aesthetics of the Tian Xian land had changed greatly. Her expression was as indifferent as ever. Even when she saw so many people suddenly appear in front of her, her eyelids didn't even twitch. The members of the Phoenix clan were not as indifferent. They carefully looked at the white-robed woman sitting on the futon in front of them. Although the other party did not deliberately show off his power, they still felt a sense of suffocation. These people were all direct descendants of the Phoenix clan. During the sacrificial ceremony, many people came here before. The person in front of him. Chapter 2070. An old man who seemed to be the leader of the group stepped forward and bowed respectfully to Gu Xingyin before he began to speak. I am Elder Huang Yuan of the Phoenix clan. May I know who you are? He was actually quite hesitant in his heart. As an elder of the clan, he knew the secrets of the clan's sacred land. He also knew that there was once an outstanding ancestor who used his own flesh and blood to suppress the ancestral land in exchange for thousands of years of prosperity for the Phoenix clan. Whether it was in terms of attire or aura, the person in front of him was very similar to the one in the rumors. However, this kind of thing, Gu Xingyin raised her head and glanced at him, then said lightly, My name is Huang Tian. My name is Huang Tian. My name is Huang Tian. The others did not know that Elder Huang Yuan's legs almost went soft when he heard this. In the entire Phoenix clan's genealogy, there was only one person named Huang Tian. Could this person really be that legendary ancestor? However, this was a matter of great importance. He could only respectfully wait for the person in front of him, then crush a sparkling and translucent crescent-shaped talisman pendant in his sleeve. Ancestor Huang He, there has been an unforeseen event in the sacred land. A powerhouse in white has appeared, and he calls himself Huang Tian. This crescent-shaped talisman pendant was personally made by Ancestor Huang He, who had the highest seniority and the strongest cultivation in the Phoenix clan. Every elder above the mystique venerable rank and core disciple with the highest potential in the clan could hold one. As long as one crushed this talisman pendant, Ancestor Huang He would be able to sense it immediately and rush over as quickly as possible. Elder Huang Yuan had notified Ancestor Huang He because he was the ancestor with the highest seniority and the strongest cultivation in the entire Phoenix clan. The sacred land matter was of great importance, so it was only right to inform the ancestor. Secondly, Ancestor Huang He was also the one with the longest lifespan in the entire Phoenix clan. He could be considered to be from the same generation as the legendary ancestor Huang Tian. Huang Yuan could not be sure whether the white-robed woman's words were true or false, so he naturally needed to find a powerhouse who could confirm her identity. Ancestor Huang He arrived very quickly. Gu Xingyin saw Elder Huang Yuan's actions clearly. She didn't feel that she had been neglected. Instead, she felt gratified by Elder Huang Yuan's vigilance. Gu Xingyin would be disappointed if Huang Yuan believed her just because she said that she was the old ancestor of her family. A green figure appeared at the entrance of the Holy Land. It was a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 30s. His eyes were calm and carried a trace of coldness. Seeing this middle-aged man, all the members of the Phoenix clan bowed and greeted him. Greetings, Patriarch. The green-robed man's gaze was not on them at all. He stared at Gu Xingyin and calmly looked back at her face. His eyes flashed with disbelief, shock, and excitement. "Aunt Huang Tian, is it really you?" His voice seemed to be trembling. If one listened carefully, there seemed to be a slight tremor in his voice. However, the rest of the Phoenix clansmen didn't have the mood to pay attention to their ancestor's voice. They were all shocked by the content of their ancestor's words. Aunt Huang Tian. After all, thousands of years had passed, and some of the clansmen did not even know the name Huang Tian. However, everyone had heard their own ancestor call her aunt loud and clear. At that moment, countless shocked gazes turned to Gu Xingyin. Ancestor Huang He's aunt. How many years had this white-robed powerhouse lived? Chapter 2071. Gu Xingyin furrowed her brows. She scrutinized the middle-aged man in front of her. After a long while, she finally thought of a person related to this person in front of her from the chaotic memories of her original body. She hesitantly called out, "Xiao He." The middle-aged man looked happy and said, "It's Xiao He, auntie." Gu Xingyin, the Huang He and Huang Tian's chaotic memories was only a 4 or 5-year-old child. He was the youngest son of Huang Tian's elder brother. She vaguely remembered that the child liked to stick to her. She couldn't remember anything else. Furthermore, it was really difficult to connect the child with the middle-aged man in front of her, who looked a lot older than her. Not to mention that Gu Xingyin didn't like it, the other members of the Huang clan who were respectfully standing to the side were already stunned. Xiao He. So Elder Huang He had such a cute nickname. Huang He didn't have the mood to care about the clansmen behind him. He still remembered that when he was young, he admired this extremely talented aunt of his the most. Not only him, but all the juniors and young people of the Phoenix clan had taken great sage Huang Tian as their goal to work hard for their entire lives. However, before they could grow up, the legendary great sage of the clan disappeared overnight. He had asked his father, who was the clan leader at the time, about this, but his father only patted his head and sighed. Later on, his exceptional talent was discovered. He slowly grew up and became an elder of the Huang clan. It was only after he became an elder that he learned the secrets that ordinary clansmen didn't know. It turned out that his amazing aunt didn't disappear for no reason. Instead, she sealed her physical body and suppressed the earth veins for the entire Huang clan. The name Huang Tian was also enshrined in the ancestral hall of the Huang clan. Only those who had made great contributions to the Huang clan were qualified to be enshrined there. He had never thought that his aunt would wake up one day. Huang Tian was respectfully welcomed back into the residence by ancestor Huang He. The direct descendants of the Huang clan who saw this scene were also warned not to leak this matter. The ancestor from thousands of years ago had awakened, and her realm was above that of a profound sage. Her return would allow the overall strength of the Phoenix clan to rise by a large margin. Those clansmen knew the severity of the situation, so naturally, they didn't dare to speak of it lightly. As for Huang Tian, he was in the Phoenix clan's meeting hall, meeting with many of his juniors. All the elders of the Phoenix clan who were mystique venerable rank and above, as well as the few most talented disciples of the younger generation, had all come to visit her. To be honest, when he woke up and saw so many juniors, his mood was a little strange. Especially those juniors, they all looked at you as if you were a legend and a martyr. Gu Xingyin maintained her cold attitude as she greeted everyone, indicating that she had already met them. Then, she glanced at Huang He, who was the only person she was familiar with. Huang He nodded and allowed them to leave. As the ancestor with the highest seniority and strongest strength in the Phoenix clan, Huang He's words held absolute weight. Seeing that everyone had left, Gu Xingyin relaxed. "Find me a secret room. I want to go into seclusion." Huang He was shocked. "Auntie, are you alright?" Gu Xingyin shook her head. I've been asleep for too long. My strength has greatly decreased. I need to go into seclusion to sort things out. Chapter 2072. As Huang Tian's aunt's fan, Patriarch Huang He naturally prepared everything she needed at lightning speed. Gu Xingyin heaved a sigh of relief and began her secluded cultivation. She woke up again under the system's notification. Host, the situation has changed. The mission target is not dead. The system's voice seemed to be surprised. Gu Xingyin frowned. What's the situation? Her thunderous attack that day was not something a mysterious sect master like Chen Xiaoxiao could resist even if her strength was greatly reduced. Moreover, based on her aura, Chen Xiaoxiao could not be more dead. The system replied, that Chen Xiaoxiao seems to have cultivated some kind of secret technique. As long as her flesh is not destroyed, there is a chance for her to be resurrected. Flesh is not destroyed. Gu Xingyin had only killed her back then. Chen Xiaoxiao's blood must not have disappeared. Could it be that she had survived because of this? A trace of disgust flashed across Gu Xingyin's heart. This obviously illogical method was definitely not a proper technique. That Chen Xiaoxiao most likely cultivated some kind of evil technique. With Chen Xiaoxiao's vengeful personality, she would definitely come back to take revenge on the Phoenix clan when she became stronger. Gu Xingyin's eyes turned cold. Then I will kill her again. So what if she was not dead? As a demigod, she had seized the initiative. Could it be that a mere mysterious sect master was afraid of her? Gu Xingyin stood up. She was fine now, but there was a feeling of sluggishness in the circulation of the qi in her body. She knew the reason. It was because she had slept for too long that her meridians and bones had degenerated to a certain extent. In this situation, she could either slowly recover with time, or she needed the help of some natural treasures. The former would take too much time. As for the latter, Gu Xingyin had already found a good place. She went to find Patriarch Huanghe. You are going out? Patriarch Huanghe was very surprised. Gu Xingyin nodded. I want to see how thousands of years have passed. What has become of the profound sky continent? She did not talk about her body. Firstly, there were some things that were not suitable for others to know. Huang He seemed to be gentle with her, but after all, they had been separated for thousands of years. She still had to be careful. Secondly, she didn't want him to worry. Huang He was obviously reluctant to part with her, but when he saw Gu Xingyin's expression, he did not say anything. In that case, when Aunt returns, our Phoenix clan will hold another grand celebration to welcome Aunt's return. Elder Huang He's expression was somewhat excited. He wanted to announce to the entire Tianxian land that the legendary figure from thousands of years ago, the great sage Huang Tian of the Phoenix clan, had returned. The addition of another profound sage to the Phoenix clan would undoubtedly set off a storm among the first-rate families. The Phoenix clan had kept a low profile for far too long. Gu Xingyin could roughly guess what he was thinking and had no intention of rejecting him. This was beneficial to the Phoenix clan. As for Huang Tian himself, he had spent his entire life fighting for the betterment of the Huang clan. She would not give up her dream. Late at night, within the mansion of the Phoenix clan, a white figure quietly left. Those who knew of Huang Tian's existence thought that she was still in seclusion, let alone those who did not. Therefore, other than Huang He, no one else knew about her formation this time. Gu Xingyin's goal was simple, to go to the extreme south and find the vermilion bird fire to refine her body. At the same time, she would kill Chen Xiaoxiao, who was hiding in the south. Chapter 2073. At the same time, in the southern region of the Tianxian continent, in an inconspicuous little town, Chen Xiaoxiao, dressed in a simple gray robe, had dressed herself up. Her face was pale, and it was obvious that she had suffered serious internal injuries. Gu Xingyin's attack was real, and although she was reborn with the help of a secret technique, the injuries on her body could not be healed overnight. The Huang clan, and that woman. Chen Xiaoxiao sat on a stone bench, her face full of murderous intent. Just you wait. If I have the chance, I will definitely uproot all of you. She was still talking tough here, but she didn't know that there was already someone who wanted to kill her. This place was already far away from the territory of the Huang clan, and was within the sphere of influence of another family, the Xian clan. Gu Xingyin was wearing a cloak, and when others looked at her, they only felt that her figure was beautiful and moving, but they could not see her face clearly at all. A person who dared to travel alone usually had some strength, so these days, there were not so many blind people who dared to have any ideas about her. Have you heard? The ancient Black Fox clan, who has always had a good relationship with the Xian clan, will send a representative to the Xian clan. TCH. Is there anyone in West Wind City who doesn't know about this? The previous person seemed to feel embarrassed and said, then let me tell you something else, you probably don't know about it. What is it? You haven't heard, it is said that the young miss of the Huang clan, Huang Bing, is infatuated with the beauty of the ancient Black Fox clan leader, Qinyao. This time, she chased him directly to our West Wind City, and will not give up until she achieves her goal. Gu Xingyin raised her eyebrows. How did the Huang clan get involved again? She had heard Huang He mention this Huang Bing before, and she was one of the most talented people among the younger generation of the Huang clan. It was said that she had been traveling outside. It turned out that he had traveled all the way here. Gu Xingyin, who was not interested in this, decided to make a trip to the Xian clan. She wasn't interested in this, but it was related to Huang Bing. Who knew what would happen when the time came? She had interacted with the ancient Black Fox clan before. If one were to use a phrase to describe this race, it would be, their faces were bright like the moon, but their hearts were cold like ice. The ancient Sky Fox clan, without exception, had a beautiful face. It was said that the purer the bloodline, the more beautiful the face. It was imaginable that the clan leader Qin Yao must have a face that could turn the world upside down. If that was the case, it was understandable that a young lady like Huang Bing would be infatuated with him. However, the beauty of this race was equal to their coldness. They had the most gentle and deceiving smiles in the world, but they would often only bring the people who were infatuated with them an illusory dream, and then mercilessly withdraw. Huang Tian had seen countless humans who were tempted by this race, but he had never seen anyone succeed. It was still unknown whether the ancient Black Fox had a heart or not. She quietly listened to the people beside her. It seemed that the Xian clan had made preparations. The guests from the ancient Sky Fox clan would arrive at dusk. Gu Xingyin closed her eyes and felt for a moment. As expected, she sensed a familiar bloodline aura from a certain direction. Thinking about it, Miss Huang Bing should be in that place. Gu Xingyin finished the remaining wine in his cup and placed some silver pieces on the table. Then, he disappeared from where he was. Chapter 2074. The white-robed figure shuttled through West Wind City at an extremely strange speed. She did not conceal her whereabouts, but when she passed by people, it was as if they did not see her at all and did not even look at her. Gu Xingyin's figure stopped in front of a majestic and solemn mansion. The bloodline reaction from Huang Bing had appeared here. She frowned imperceptibly and raised her head to look at the two words, profound mansion. Huang Bing was in the Xian clan. What those people said was true. But with her identity as the young miss of the Huang clan, it was normal for her to be received by the Xian clan. Gu Xingyin's mind moved and she quietly entered the courtyard walls of the Xian clan. With her current concealment ability, as long as she did not make a move and did not touch any restrictions, there were not many people in the Tianxian continent who could discover her. Gu Xingyin planned to meet this young Miss Huang Bing. Her footsteps seemed slow, but her speed was not slow at all as she shuttled through the mansion. A few figures walked over from the front. Judging from their attire, they should be the maids of the profound mansion. That young Miss Huang Bing is even more ostentatious than our young miss. Yes, she is a guest of our profound mansion. I have never seen someone who does not treat herself as an outsider. The two maids giggled as they spoke. One of them said, that young Miss Huang Bing really thinks that no one knows what she is here for. She said she is here as a guest of the Xian clan, but who in West Wind City does not know who she is here for? The other one said, yes. No matter what, the Phoenix clan is also a big and famous clan. How could the upbringing of the clan turn out to be like this? Who knows? The conversation gradually faded away. Gu Xingyin walked out from behind the big tree with a gloomy expression. Huang Bing was the young miss of the Huang clan's direct line of descent, and a mystic king-level cultivator herself. But a few mere servants of the Xian clan dared to talk about her so disdainfully in private. Servant Xiao Zhu. One could imagine that the people of the Xian family didn't think highly of Huang Bing. He wondered if Huang Bing herself knew that she wasn't welcomed here. Gu Xingyin followed the guidance of her bloodline and walked straight into a courtyard. This was Huang Bing's courtyard. At a rough glance, there were pavilions, terraces, and pavilions, as well as carved beams and painted pillars. At least in terms of face, the Xian family didn't give them any face at all. Gu Xingyin strolled into the courtyard. Huang Bing walked out of the inner room. She was wearing a light blue gauze dress. She turned around and smiled at the maid beside her. What do you think of my clothes? The two maidservants hurriedly smiled and nodded. Young Miss Huang Bing is very beautiful, this dress is very suitable for you. In all fairness, what he said wasn't wrong. Huang Bing was very beautiful. For a large clan like the Phoenix clan that had lasted for close to 10,000 years, generations after generations of outstanding bloodlines had been united. Until now, it was really difficult to find someone with an indecent appearance in the entire direct line of descent of the clan. But Huang Bing didn't seem very happy when she heard the words of the two maids. She frowned, turned around and went back into the inner room. When her figure disappeared, the two maids breathed a sigh of relief. Gu Xingyin easily saw the helplessness and disdain in their eyes. Chapter 2075. In the Tianxian continent, martial prowess was revered, and family background was also very important. A young martial artist like Huang Bing, who had outstanding talent and a powerful family, should be respected and worshipped wherever she went. Unfortunately, everyone knew that she was unrequited in love with the leader of the ancient Black Fox clan. Everyone knew that she was willing to do anything for love. This was the way of the world. Those ordinary people, on one hand, were envious of Huang Bing, the gods' favored one, but on the other hand, they were secretly jealous of her. Now that they knew that the proud daughter of the heavens had actually disregarded her status and lowered herself for a man from another race, these people couldn't help but feel a sense of resentment towards her failure to meet their expectations. It was as if what Huang Bing had done was unforgivable. But in reality, what did Huang Bing have to do with them? These people were just trying to satisfy their misconception that they were better than Huang Bing in some aspects. Therefore, they subconsciously ostracized and despised her in their hearts, as if this would make them look noble. Such a person, most likely, she did not have the ability and could only find comfort on her own. Gu Xingyin had no intention of getting angry with these people. She moved slightly and directly entered Huang Bing's inner room. Although the mentality of these servant girls was ridiculous, but Gu Xingyin did not think much of Huang Bing's actions. If you really like someone, you should pursue them openly. No one would say anything about that. But could it be that the Huang clan could not even afford a courtyard in West Wind City? Did they have to make such a big fuss and let everyone in West Wind City know about it, and still have to stay in another clan? Huang Bing had just finished changing into another set of clothes. This time, it was a light yellow gauze dress. The light and lively color made her look very bright and beautiful. Suddenly, a cold voice sounded by her ear. Huang Bing. Huang Bing suddenly raised her head, and the profound qi in her body instantly reached its peak. She turned her head to look at the cloaked person who had appeared in the room without her knowing, her expression full of wariness. Who are you? Gu Xingyin saw that she did not seem to have any order, but was actually able to attack and defend, and the dissatisfaction in her heart subsided a little. Although she was a little confused in some aspects, at least she did not slack off in terms of cultivation. She didn't say anything and just threw out a token. Huang Bing subconsciously took it. When she saw the words on the token, she trembled. Ancestral Phoenix Token. In the entire Phoenix clan, there were no more than 5 ancestral Phoenix tokens. What Huang Bing knew was that the clan leader and the great elder each had one. He didn't know anything else. However, she knew the rules of the Phoenix clan. Holding the ancestral Phoenix token was equivalent to meeting the patriarch. All members of the Phoenix clan had to fully cooperate with the orders. She didn't know that the ancestral Phoenix token in Gu Xingyin's hand was given to her by Patriarch Huang He so that it would be easier for her to do things outside. Huang Bing immediately said respectfully, "This is," she glanced at Gu Xingyin's figure, whose appearance could not be seen at all, and lowered her head, "What can I do for you?" Gu Xingyin glanced at her and said indifferently, "There are no orders, I just came to see what Miss Huang Bing, who is being talked about by the entire West Wind City, looks like." Her voice was clear and cold, and for some reason, it reminded people of the bleak autumn wind blowing past. There was no imposing aura, but it carried a chill that seeped into the bones. It was a female voice. Huang Bing was taken aback for a moment, and then realized what the other party had said. Chapter 2076. Senior, what do you mean by that? She asked in confusion. Gu Xingyin was also taken aback. She took a closer look at Huang Bing and found that she was not faking it. She didn't know anything. Thinking of a certain possibility, Gu Xingyin's expression under the cloak turned ugly. She waved her sleeve and several scenes appeared in front of Huang Bing's eyes. It was the conversation of the strangers in the restaurant and the conversation of the Xian clan's servant girls. Huang Bing's face was pale. Seeing her like this, Gu Xingyin was sure of her guess, this girl was most likely tricked by someone. As expected, Huang Bing opened her eyes wide and explained, "I have never told anyone about this, and I am not so shameless as to chase after someone." She was clearly at a loss. Gu Xingyin only said coldly, "Are you sure you have never mentioned it? Then how did someone find out? Think about it carefully." Huang Bing was stunned, and Gu Xingyin's figure slowly disappeared. "You have good potential, but you don't know how to open your eyes. Someone is plotting against you behind the scenes. Think about it carefully. Senior." Huang Bing came back to her senses and called out, but the cloaked person had already disappeared. She slowly walked to the table and sat down, and began to organize the things she had discovered recently. She had only told her best friend, Xian Jing, that she liked clan leader Qin Yao. During this period of time, she had just broken through a small realm, and she had not planned to come. It was Xian Jing who insisted that since she really liked him, why not work hard? She also told her that clan leader Qin Yao had returned to the Xian clan. She was moved by her words and came to West Wind City. Then, it was Xian Jing who ignored her refusal and personally brought her to the Xian palace. She repeatedly said that if she treated her as an outsider, she would be angry. Huang Bing was touched by Xian Jing's warm attitude, and thought that the other party truly treated her as a friend. If she acted unnaturally, it would make her unhappy, so she tried her best to appear very natural. She had always thought that she was happy in the Xian palace, and that everyone was very warm. But now, someone had torn apart the veil and laid it out in front of her. So, in the eyes of outsiders, and even in the eyes of the servants of the profound palace, he was actually this kind of person. She only felt a chill in her heart. After Gu Xingyin told Huang Bing about what had happened, she decided to ignore her. She was already so old. If she couldn't see such an obvious thing, then such a stupid person would be useless even if she cultivated to the profound sage realm. He was being used by people with ulterior motives. She had originally intended to leave the profound palace directly, but she heard a clamor in front of her. It turned out that the emissary of the ancient Sky Fox clan had actually arrived at the profound palace at this moment. Gu Xingyin heard the gasps coming from the front and the whispered discussions of the servant girls. It was rare for her to be curious. I heard that clan leader Qin Yao has also come. I wonder what kind of beauty he is. With that thought in mind, she stopped herself from leaving. She hid herself in a big tree and used the advantage of a high vantage point to observe the situation in front of her. With just a glance, she saw the black-robed man surrounded by countless people. Some people really, no matter what kind of environment they were in, no matter how many people were around them. When others looked over, they would only see his silhouette. Because at that moment, everyone else was reduced to a foil to serve as a contrast to him. Chapter 2077. It was also the first time that Gu Xingyin saw someone who could wear such a serious black robe in such a flirtatious manner. Maybe it was because his eyes and brows were too alluring and his temperament too feminine. No matter how serious the robe was, when he wore it, he could only give people the feeling that he was tempted under the surface of abstinence. Gu Xingyin secretly glared at him. Why did he have to be so attractive? Why did he have so many love affairs for no reason? Yes, Gu Xingyin recognized this person at first sight. Before this, she did not expect that she would meet her lover under such circumstances. Thinking of her junior who had been separated by God knows how many years, Gu Xingyin sighed in her heart. It was no wonder that such an inexperienced young girl could not resist the charm of such an old demon. It was normal. Looking around the scene, at least half of the women present, whether it was the young ladies of the Xian family or the maidservants, quietly fixed their eyes on this man. As for the other half of the women, they were either old women, young girls who had not yet learned their lesson, or beautiful women who had already married. Gu Xingyin did not know if it was an illusion, but she felt that when Qin Yao was talking just now, his eyes seemed to have glanced in the direction where she was hiding. Gu Xingyin thought it was impossible. But thinking about it carefully, the ancient black fox family was the top demonic beasts with a long lifespan, especially the pure-blooded ones. It was unknown how long this Qin Yao had lived. In addition, these top demonic beasts had powerful bloodlines, so it was not strange that there was a strong man in the demigod realm. However, if he pretended not to see it, Gu Xingyin would not be bothered. While she was thinking, Lengbu saw the junior of her family come out. Huang Bing was still very beautiful, at least in Gu Xingyin's eyes. Among the people she saw after she woke up, the average appearance of the Huang family was better than that of the Xian family. Qin Yao clan leader. Junior is Huang Bing of the Huang clan. She tried her best to maintain a calm expression, but upon closer inspection, one could still see the excitement hidden underneath. Among the direct descendants of the Xian clan, a woman in a white robe curled her lips into a sinister smile when she saw this scene. Qin Yao had probably heard some rumors on the way here. When he heard Huang Bing's words, he looked at her carefully and nodded with a faint smile. He was born with a pair of charming peach blossom eyes. Even if he didn't do anything, when he looked at people, he would have a certain degree of tenderness. Huang Bing instantly blushed under his gaze. Many people had a knowing look in their eyes. The ancient silver foxes who followed Qin Yao here also showed a look of understanding on their faces. Another human who was captivated by the beauty of their leader. Huang Bing probably knew how the Xian clansmen were laughing at her. However, since she was already here and had seen the person she missed dearly, it was impossible for her to give up. When she thought of this, her gaze became firm. She raised her head and looked at Qin Yao. Clan leader Qin Yao, this junior admires your elegant demeanor, but I hope that the zither and the zither will play in harmony. As soon as he said this, the surroundings fell silent. Qin Yao also raised his eyebrows in surprise. He knew that he was very popular and enjoyed the feeling of being admired. He had also received a lot of subtle confessions. However, this was the first time he had seen a desperate confession in front of so many people like this woman in front of him. Chapter 2078. Qin Yao had never been a gentle person. Those who didn't know him would be intoxicated by his gentle smile and handsome face, but those who knew him would never have any delusions about him. After Huang Bing said those words, many of the ancient Black Fox clansmen behind Qin Yao showed sympathetic expressions on their faces. They seemed to be able to imagine the ruthless words of their patriarch. Love was the most taboo and the most precious thing of the ancient Black Fox clan. Most of the ancient Black Foxes would never be able to find a true partner, so they would choose to be alone for the rest of their lives. Fortunately, most of the ancient Black Foxes were born from the demon transformation pool. Otherwise, if they had only inherited their bloodline, with the style of this clan, they would have disappeared from the Tianxian continent long ago. As for the preciousness of love, once the ancient Black Foxes were moved, they would never give up. There was once a profound sage powerhouse who provoked a member of the ancient Black Fox clan. After the two sides were stuck together for decades, the human profound sage got tired of it and began to fall in love with someone else. That Black Fox dug out the heart of the human profound sage's new love and committed suicide. Before she died, she used her own blood as a curse, cursing that profound sage powerhouse to be alone for the rest of his life. The price of cursing that profound sage powerhouse was that the soul of the ancient Black Fox would never be able to escape from purgatory. Even so, she was unwilling to let the person who had betrayed her live a good life. Ordinary people didn't know, but at Huang Tian's level, she naturally had a much deeper understanding of certain things. Her gaze fell on Qin Yao. She didn't know what kind of response the patriarch of the ancient Black Fox clan would give. Qin Yao hesitated for a moment, which was rare. He had originally planned to reject her mercilessly. It was true that he enjoyed the feeling of being admired, but it was limited to a certain extent. Once he crossed that line, he would definitely draw a clear line with that person. The confession of the girl in front of him had obviously crossed the line. It was just that the determination and passion in her eyes were too scorching, and Qin Yao had a feeling that he didn't want to hurt this relationship too much. It was really inexplicable. He couldn't help but think to himself. At the same time, that faintly discernible feeling of prying appeared again. From the moment he had arrived at the profound palace, Qin Yao had already felt this gaze. He even secretly laughed at the Xian clan. They claimed to be one of the top clans of the human race, but they didn't even know that someone had snuck into their home. However, he did not dislike this gaze. In fact, he even felt very comfortable being stared at by the person in the dark. In the blink of an eye, he had a plan in his heart. Looking at the girl in front of him, Qin Yao smiled. "Thank you for your kindness." However, Qin Yao already has someone he likes, he said to Huang Bing with a faint smile. Huang Bing's face paled when she heard that. She was curious. What kind of woman could make clan leader Qin Yao fall in love with her? She wasn't the only one who was curious. Everyone who heard Qin Yao's words had their own guesses. Qin Yao glanced around and saw a leaf falling from a certain tree without any wind. His heart stirred, and a bold idea appeared in his mind. Everyone only saw the black-robed man's figure move and disappear in the blink of an eye. At a certain moment, Gu Xingyin suddenly sensed that someone was approaching and quickly retreated. Who is it? The elders of the Xian family were furious. Chapter 2079. They could clearly see that the person in the white cloak had appeared from the courtyard. In other words, this person had snuck into the Xian clan's residence without anyone knowing. If this person had any sinister intentions, wouldn't the clan members be in danger? Gu Xingyin glared coldly at the culprit standing not far away from him, then turned to face the furious elder of the Xian clan on the other side. I have no ill intentions. I'm just passing by. The moment Huang Bing saw Gu Xingyin appear, she was so shocked that she wanted to greet her senior. However, a cold voice sounded in her mind. Don't make a sound. You don't know me. The others probably didn't hear this because the Xian clan members didn't react. When Huang Bing heard this, she silently stopped the thought of walking out. After Gu Xingyin finished speaking, she didn't want to explain any further. She moved and prepared to leave. However, someone didn't let her leave. A black figure stood in front of her. Move. Gu Xingyin looked at the man in front of her. She could sense that Qin Yao's strength wasn't inferior to hers. Or rather, it should be said that he wasn't inferior to her when she was at her peak. Now, she still had her old injuries. If Qin Yao really wanted to stop her, she might not be able to leave. Qin Yao didn't say anything. He carefully looked at the woman in front of him who was completely hidden in the cloak. He'd only forced her to show herself on a whim. However, when he saw her for real, he changed his mind. This woman always gave him a special feeling. Since that was the case, he couldn't let her leave. He smiled and looked at the woman in front of him affectionately. It's fine if you're unhappy and angry with me. Why do you have to pretend that you don't know me? Gu Xingyin. What kind of script was this? The onlookers. After a moment of confusion, the onlookers who were good at imagining things quickly thought of clan leader Qin Yao's affectionate words, you already have someone you like. Something was happening. Countless pairs of eyes instantly looked at the two people who were confronting each other. Even the elder of the Xian family who had been glaring angrily at Gu Xingyin restrained his anger and looked at her curiously. Huang Bing's face also turned pale. She looked at Gu Xingyin and finally understood why this senior had personally come to warn her. She must be jealous, right? Gu Xingyin, somehow, he felt that he was carrying a huge pot on his back. She was annoyed, so she naturally couldn't be nice to the person who started it. I'll say it again, get out of my way. Qin Yao remained calm and unruffled. No. Gu Xingyin snorted coldly. She could tell that this man was deliberately going against her. She raised her hands and attacked with the power of lightning. It would be better to take advantage of this opportunity to catch him off guard and leave. That was what she thought, but she underestimated Qin Yao's strength. The other party didn't seem to have any difficulty receiving her attack, and he even had the leisure to stop her from leaving. The two of them were in a stalemate, but the onlookers on the side suffered. What kind of power would it be when two demigod powerhouses fought? Even though the two of them were taking into account that they were in someone else's territory and restrained themselves, the onlookers on the side retreated again and again. Those who were slightly weaker even turned pale and spat out mouthfuls of blood. This. When did such a powerful female profound sage appear in the Tianxian continent? 6 chapters. Today is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the great mothers in the world. I woke up at 6 to be a diligent branch. Today's update will be posted all at once. Everyone, after reading it, spend more time with your mothers. Chapter 2080. I don't know. Could it be a patriarch from some family? The elders of the Xian family were discussing among themselves. In the blink of an eye, 2 other powerful auras descended. It turned out that the 2 patriarchs of the Xian family who had been in seclusion all year round had sensed the commotion outside and had come out of seclusion. Seeing the 2 fighting, the 2 patriarchs immediately asked what was going on. After hearing the explanation, the 2 patriarchs were speechless. They exchanged a look and raised their hands in tacit understanding. A green halo spread out from their hands and instantly enveloped the area where Gu Xingyin and Huang Tian were. While stopping the two from causing any damage, it also blocked Gu Xingyin's way of leaving. Gu Xingyin was speechless. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew over her head and her hood fell off. It turned out that when the two patriarchs of the Xian family had set up the barrier, she was distracted for a moment and Qin Yao took the opportunity to pull off the hood on her head. She glared at him angrily. "How dare you?" She raised her head to look at Qin Yao, whose eyes were filled with shock. Originally, Qin Yao had only sensed a powerful person hiding in the dark. When he rejected Huang Bing, for some reason, he wanted to tease this person in the dark. That was why Qin Yao had purposely said those words to cover up the misunderstanding when Gu Xingyin was forced down from the tree by him. However, at this moment, seeing Huang Tian's stunning beauty, Qin Yao suddenly had an illusion that it would be a great thing if this person truly belonged to him. The narcissistic ancient Black Fox King expressed that the woman before him was the only person he had met in the thousands of years he had lived in this world who could stand before him without losing her beauty. Even Qin Yao, who was a peerless beauty, felt this way, not to mention the onlookers. When did such a peerless beauty appear in the Tianxian land? If such a person had appeared, it was impossible that they had not heard of her at all. Gu Xingyin sensed those gazes on her and snorted coldly. Her voice seemed to resound in everyone's hearts. It was so deafening that many people immediately came to their senses. It was also at this moment that everyone remembered that the peerless beauty in front of them was an expert who could rival the ancient Black Fox clan leader Qin Yao. Profound sage powerhouse. With this thought in mind, the gazes on Gu Xingyin instantly disappeared. If they really angered a profound sage, even the powerful Xian family would have a headache. When Gu Xingyin saw that the battle had stopped, he glared fiercely at Qin Yao. Without another word, he raised his hand and tore apart the barrier set up by the Xian family's ancestor. His figure flashed and disappeared. "I bear no ill will towards the Xian family." Her ethereal voice came from the horizon. Qin Yao suddenly turned around and smiled at everyone. "I'm sorry, everyone. I still have something to do, so I'll take my leave first." After saying that, with a slight movement of his clothes, he disappeared before everyone's eyes. From the looks of it, he was clearly going to chase after the white-cloaked expert. Everyone then recalled the conversation between the two and the grudges between them, and they all revealed a look of understanding. Patriarch Qin Yao was going to chase after his sweetheart. It was understandable. Huang Bing stood there quietly for a while, then turned around and said goodbye to the elder of the Xian family. At this time, Xian Jing, who was standing behind the elder, stood out with a reluctant look on her face. "Aren't you going to stay for a while?" Chapter 2081. Huang Bing glanced at her but didn't say anything. Unexpectedly, Xian Jing didn't give up and said, "Bing, I know you like clan leader Qin Yao. You must have suffered a big blow after being rejected. You and I have always been good friends. Why don't I be the host and take you around West Wind City to have some fun and relax?" When she said this, everyone also remembered that this young miss of the Huang clan had expressed her feelings to Patriarch Qin Yao in front of everyone just now. It could only be said that the falling flowers were unrequited and the flowing water was heartless. With that thought in mind, the crowd began to look at Huang Bing with a strange expression. Xian Jing patted her worried face, but she was very proud. She was sure that Huang Bing's reputation would be ruined this time. If it was more serious, it would affect her state of mind, which would be very harmful to her future cultivation. Huang Bing kept her eyes fixed on Xian Jing. She had been careful before, and now that she heard such words, which seemed to be caring but were actually hurtful, how could she not understand? She thought that she was a true friend, but who would have thought that she was a black-hearted spider? Huang Bing suddenly laughed. Everyone's attention was drawn to her. They wondered if Huang Bing had suffered a huge blow after being rejected. But Huang Bing laughed and said, "Such a small thing, and you've suffered a big blow. Xian Jing, aren't you underestimating me too much? Seeing that everyone was looking at her, and Xian Jing was also surprised, Huang Bing's expression was even more indifferent. For martial artists of my generation, love is a small matter. Cultivation is the right way to go. Being rejected this time, I feel that my obsession has been cut off, and my state of mind is clear. Some of the previous cultivation barriers have also been cleared. She looked in the direction that Gu Xingyin and Qin Yao had left, and bowed slightly to show her respect. Then she turned to the elder of the Xian clan and said, I have a feeling in my heart and am preparing to return to the clan to cultivate, so I came to say goodbye. Everyone saw that her expression was normal, and her eyes were clear. As expected, there was a sign of a breakthrough, and they couldn't help but be amazed. The elder standing in front of Xian Jing didn't hide his admiration at all. Your state of mind is so open, and you have such talent. Your future is limitless. In that case, I won't keep you any longer. Huang Bing bowed to him and left without looking back. Even without looking, she knew that Xian Jing must be vomiting blood, but she had to hold it in. Thinking about Xian Jing's expression, Huang Bing felt extremely happy. Even the disappointment of being rejected had faded a lot. In the end, her admiration for clan leader Qin Yao was mostly a kind of longing and worship when she saw a beautiful and outstanding member of the opposite sex. Since there was no deep love, being rejected was not a painful thing. Previously, she had thought about why Xian Jing had schemed against her. After thinking about it carefully, she felt that the reason was nothing more than talent. The Phoenix clan and the Xian clan were both first-rate clans. The two of them were of similar age and were both direct descendants of the clan. It could be said that their statuses were similar. However, Huang Bing, who was only 20 this year, was already at the peak of the Mystic Master realm. She was about to break through to the Mystic Monarch realm, while Xian Jing, who was 1 year older than her, had just broken through to the Mystic Master realm. This huge gap was enough to make Ling Xian Jing jealous. Now that she knew the reason, Huang Bing knew how to deal with her better. She didn't even need to lower herself to argue with her. For someone like Xian Jing, if he continued to maintain his cultivation speed and lead by a large margin, it would be the greatest revenge he could give her. Chapter 2082. Let's talk about the other side. Gu Xingyin stopped not far from West Wind City. She leaned against a big tree in the suburbs, slowly calming the internal qi in her body. She also leaned against the tree so that she would not fall down. When she fought with Qin Yao just now, she had extracted too much internal qi from her body. During the fight, she had already discovered that something was wrong, but she suppressed it by force. Now that she relaxed, the sequelae broke out. The entire right side of her body had fallen into a temporary state of unconsciousness. She must find the vermilion bird fire as soon as possible, otherwise the feeling of having a time bomb hidden in her body was really uncomfortable. As she thought of this, her expression suddenly turned cold. Qin Yao had appeared in front of her at some point. I say, beauty, you are so fast, I almost lost you, he said exaggeratedly. Although he said this, looking at his relaxed expression, she knew that he was exaggerating. The ancient Black Fox clan was good at speed. It was normal for him to be able to keep up with Gu Xingyin. Gu Xingyin's expression did not change. She said coldly, "What do you want?" Qin Yao seemed a little distressed. He frowned and sighed. "Don't be so nervous, I don't mean any harm." Gu Xingyin, Perhaps it was because her performance was too obvious. Although she did not speak, Qin Yao clearly understood what she meant. He furrowed his brows and said, "I just want to be friends with you, beauty." His face was like the dawn of spring. His deliberately sad appearance really made him look pitiful. If it was in normal times, Gu Xingyin might appreciate the beauty. But at this moment, her situation was special and she did not want to be involved with this person. She just said coldly, I am not interested in being friends with you. Qin Yao seemed to have expected her answer and did not find it strange. My name is Qin Yao. You should tell me your name, right? Gu Xingyin could not wait for him to leave. She frowned and replied, My name is Huang Tian. Huang Tian. This name seemed a little familiar. You are from the Huang clan. Gu Xingyin did not say anything, which could be considered as a tacit agreement. Qin Yao was just asking casually. He didn't really care which clan the other party was from. Gu Xingyin glanced at him. Why aren't you leaving? Qin Yao laughed. Why should I leave? Gu Xingyin closed her eyes and ignored him. However, in the next moment, she felt a warm body approaching her. When he opened his eyes, he was met with Qin Yao's grave and worried expression. What happened to you? Gu Xingyin was shocked. Her face turned cold. What can I do? However, Qin Yao was not frightened by her expression at all. As he reached out to grab Gu Xingyin's right hand, he said, You're obviously not in the right state right now. Otherwise, why would you say so much to me? Wouldn't it be normal for you to attack me directly? Gu Xingyin, you are indeed very self-aware. Qin Yao grabbed her wrist and examined it for a moment. His expression became a little unsightly. What's wrong with your body? He could feel that the Xian qi in her meridians was sluggish. It was obviously very abnormal. She had actually fought with him in such a state just now. Qin Yao was shocked, but at the same time, he felt a strange sense of pride. She was indeed the person he liked. Not only was she not inferior to him in terms of beauty, she was also so powerful. Chapter 2083. The hand that was being held happened to be Gu Xingyin's immobile right hand. Therefore, she had no way of breaking free. She could only say coldly, Let go of me. Unfortunately, it would have been better if Qin Yao didn't know about her situation, but at this moment, he was completely aware of her fierce appearance. Hearing Gu Xingyin's words, he only chuckled. I won't let go. He asked, Where are you going? Gu Xingyin was so angry that she didn't want to speak. Unexpectedly, in the next moment, her whole body flipped and she was directly placed on his back. Gu Xingyin. Qin Yao's lips curled. If you don't speak, I'll carry you home. Gu Xingyin, Qin Yao added his previous words. Carry you home to be my fox queen. Gu Xingyin. I'm going to the extreme south to find the vermilion bird fire and refine my body. Qin Yao nodded and without another word, he lifted his feet and walked forward. Gu Xingyin asked, What are you doing? Qin Yao answered matter-of-factly, Taking you to the extreme south. I don't need you to take me there. Qin Yao said with a faint smile, If I hear another word of rejection from you, I'll kiss you. Do you believe me? Gu Xingyin. She remained silent. However, Qin Yao didn't want her to be like this. Along the way, he kept asking Gu Xingyin questions. In the end, Gu Xingyin couldn't take it anymore. What exactly do you want? Qin Yao answered matter-of-factly, I want you to be my fox queen. Of course, such a beautiful and powerful woman was the most suitable for him. Gu Xingyin was silent for a moment, then suddenly asked, You want me to be your fox queen because I'm good-looking and powerful, right? Qin Yao nodded. Gu Xingyin thought to herself, I knew it. In Qin Yao's heart, he didn't have the concept of feelings. Perhaps he was special to her, but this was something that even he himself was unaware of. At this thought, Gu Xingyin suddenly chuckled. Qin Yao, who was carrying her forward, suddenly felt his heart skip a beat. He deeply regretted that he was carrying the person on his back. Otherwise, he would be able to see her smile clearly. Just by imagining it, Qin Yao felt that the scene would be especially beautiful. Then, he heard something that made his eyes widen. Unfortunately, I don't want to be your fox queen at all. Qin Yao was somewhat puzzled. He found a clean place and used his profound energy to lay down some clean leaves on the ground. He gently placed Gu Xingyin down on the ground and sat cross-legged in front of her. This was a very serious problem that had to be dealt with seriously. "Why?" he asked, puzzled. Qin Yao fixed his eyes on Gu Xingyin and said, "I'm so good-looking. You can't find a man who is better looking than me among the humans. In terms of strength, you should be able to feel that I have already stepped into the demigod realm. In the entire Tianxian continent, the number of people who have reached my realm can be counted on one hand." He was extremely confident. "Overall, if you need a partner, you can't find anyone better than me." Gu Xingyin only said one sentence, "But I don't like you." Qin Yao's expression changed. Gu Xingyin looked at him and said with a mocking tone, "Do you know what it means to like someone?" Qin Yao looked at her and said, "Of course I know. I like you very much." He said it righteously. He felt that he really liked this woman, more than anyone he had met before. However, his words did not move the woman in front of him. Chapter 2084. Gu Xingyin just looked at him. "Then if I were to die right now and need you to lose all your power in exchange for my life, would you be willing? Or rather, if you could die in my place, would you be willing?" She looked at the black-robed man in front of her. Qin Yao just frowned, a hesitant look on his face. Gu Xingyin didn't say anything, just looked at him. After a while, he seemed to have found the answer. He shook his head at Gu Xingyin and made his choice. "I think the assumption you made is meaningless, but if you really want to use it as a reference, I won't." The answer was expected. Gu Xingyin smiled. Qin Yao saw her smile as he wished, and he thought that this smile was as beautiful as he had imagined it to be. Gu Xingyin said, "I will." "What?" Qin Yao only heard the person in front of him say, "If I really love him, I will be willing to die for him and do anything for him." When she said this, her eyes looked at Qin Yao, but her gaze seemed to pass through him, looking at something farther away. Qin Yao was a little unhappy. He faintly felt that there really was such a person, and that person was not him. This thought put him in a bad mood. He snorted coldly, and without saying anything, he left with a flick of his sleeves. Gu Xingyin stared at his departing figure, and closed her eyes tiredly. It was good that he left, otherwise she really didn't know how to face this completely unenlightened lover. Moreover, she was more inclined to slowly teach him those things when her injuries were healed and she was no longer at a disadvantage when facing this person. After resting enough, Gu Xingyin slowly tried to stand up by herself. She still couldn't feel the right side of her body, but with her strength, it wasn't very difficult to maintain movement. Of course, her movement speed couldn't be compared to Qin Yao's. But just as she stood up, she felt a breeze brush past her. Qin Yao stood in front of her with an unhappy face. "Why are you standing up?" Gu Xingyin was a little surprised. "Didn't you leave?" Qin Yao didn't say anything, and carried Gu Xingyin on his back. He said faintly, "I said that you are the fox empress that I like, so I naturally have to take you to heal your injuries and bring you back to the island." Gu Xingyin, she simply didn't bother to say anything, and closed her eyes and lay on his back to sleep. The corners of Qin Yao's lips slightly raised, and they rushed towards their destination at a speed that seemed very slow. 2 days later. "After passing the mountain in front of us, we will enter the southernmost." Qin Yao looked at the endless mountain range in front of him. Gu Xingyin said, "Let's find a place to rest first." These 2 days, Qin Yao hadn't slept for 2 days at all. Although profound sages didn't care about sleeping for 2 days, Gu Xingyin didn't want to see him running around like this. Qin Yao thought about it, and the two of them found a small town at the foot of the mountain range. As expected, as soon as the two of them entered the town, they received a baptism of everyone's gazes. The appearance of the two of them was really too outstanding. Qin Yao didn't know what low-key was. The two of them didn't hide anything when they entered the town, so it would be strange if they didn't attract attention. Qin Yao carried Gu Xingyin on his back, found an inn, and booked 2 rooms. Night. Gu Xingyin quietly left the inn. She looked around, and then walked in a certain direction. "Where are you going?" A voice came from behind her. Gu Xingyin was helpless, but she wasn't surprised that Qin Yao had discovered her. "I'm going to kill someone." 5 chapters later. Just one more chapter, wait for my life and death speed to come out. Chapter 2085. Yes, Gu Xingyin proposed to come to this town not only because she wanted to let Qin Yao and herself rest. The main reason was that Chen Xiaoxiao was in this town. She could not leave this hidden danger behind. Qin Yao raised his eyebrows in surprise. His aura covered the entire town. Let alone a profound sage, there was not even a mystique venerable. What kind of person was worth a demigod expert who had surpassed the profound sage level to kill him? He asked this question. Gu Xingyin knew this person's character. If she did not say anything, he would probably get in her way. That person almost took my life. She cultivated a secret technique. As long as there is a trace of her flesh left after death, she can borrow it to revive. Qin Yao's aura had already turned cold. Just Gu Xingyin's words of, "that person almost killed me," was enough to make him want to kill that person. Although he did not know what kind of existence could hurt a powerhouse like Huang Tian, he did not know. She would most likely not tell him about this kind of thing, and he would not be nosy enough to ask. He would wait until she was willing to tell him. He asked to go with Gu Xingyin, and Gu Xingyin did not refuse. Chen Xiaoxiao was not sleeping at this time. Because she had to recuperate, her work and rest had been quite regular these days. But tonight, she suddenly felt very uneasy. This feeling came out of nowhere, but it also made her tremble with fear. Chen Xiaoxiao hesitated for a moment, then got up from the bed without saying anything. She did not even have time to pack her things and jumped out of the window to leave. She felt that this place was very dangerous. But she could not leave. As soon as she jumped out of the window, she felt that she had fallen into a swamp. His footsteps became heavy, and even his breathing seemed to become extremely sticky. This familiar feeling, she used all her strength to turn around. A figure in white stood quietly behind her. She did not know how long they had been there. Chen Xiaoxiao's eyes suddenly opened. She stared at Gu Xingyin's beautiful and flawless face. She would never forget this face no matter what. It was a face that had caused her to die once. Chen Xiaoxiao opened her mouth but found that she couldn't say anything. Gu Xingyin knew what she wanted to ask, but she didn't want to answer her. It was as if something in the air was being compressed. Chen Xiaoxiao's body began to tremble, and her pupils began to dilate. Slowly, there was no more sound. Only a soft body was left on the ground. Looking at the body on the ground, Gu Xingyin was about to make a move when Qin Yao stopped him. "Let me do it." Suddenly, a cluster of blue flames ignited in his palm. Gu Xingyin was standing right beside him, but she did not feel the heat at all. However, that didn't stop her from seeing the flames clearly. Fox fire. It was rumored that it was like gangrene attached to the bone. Once infected, it could never be removed, unless it was burned to ashes. Qin Yao could tell from her expression that she knew what it was. He smiled. "This is the most suitable way to deal with the situation you mentioned." He flicked his finger, and a wisp of blue flame went straight to Chen Xiaoxiao's body on the ground. In an instant, the whole body was surrounded by blue flames. Gu Xingyin stood there until she saw Chen Xiaoxiao's body turn into ashes in front of her. She did not believe that Chen Xiaoxiao had the ability to resurrect again. Chapter 2086. After taking one last look at Chen Xiaoxiao and making sure that there was nothing left of her, Gu Xingyin turned around and was about to leave. Suddenly, a hot body came up to her from behind. Qin Yao felt a little wronged. "I did help you, thank you." Gu Xingyin interrupted him. Qin Yao, what he wanted was not a thank you. However, the person in front of him had already left, so he could only follow her. Qin Yao felt that it was a wonderful feeling. He had never had such a feeling before. Since he was a child, he had never experienced the feeling of rejection because of his face. He was always the one who used a faint smile to charm the other person to the point that they couldn't tell north from south. After enjoying the adoring gazes of others, he would use the same affectionate gaze and the same faint and gentle smile to reject the other person without hesitation. However, this time it was completely the other way around. It was the first time that he cared so much about a woman, but this woman didn't understand his feelings at all. She just wanted to get rid of him. Qin Yao couldn't help but touch his face. He wondered if his charm had declined because of his age. Because of this, the next day, when they left the town, Qin Yao used his charm a little. The effect was very obvious. When he left the town, there were many things in his storage ring that were given to him by the young ladies. There were handkerchiefs and food. The ancient silver fox king was satisfied. At the same time, he came to a conclusion that it was not that his charm had declined. It was that Huang Tian was too indifferent. Gu Xingyin sneered in his heart as he watched the male fox who was about to spread his tail out smugly outside. Since you like to attract women so much, you can attract as much as you want. The two continued to go deep into the mountains. In the past 2 days, because the numbness in Gu Xingyin gradually disappeared, she refused Qin Yao's idea of carrying her on his back and walked on her own. Qin Yao snorted, "You don't know how lucky you are. Many women want to touch me, but I won't let them." "Only you." Gu Xingyin glanced at him and replied, "Then do you know how many men want to touch me? What have they become now?" When Qin Yao heard this, he subconsciously felt that something was wrong, but he still asked, "How is it?" Gu Xingyin sneered, "I'm afraid you won't even be able to find his grave." "Qin Yao," he said calmly, "you must be lying to me." He could clearly see the woman in front of him. She didn't look like someone who would kill the innocent. Gu Xingyin said calmly, "What I said is true. It's up to you to believe it or not." She really wasn't lying. With Huang Tian's charm back then, there were countless people who admired her and wanted to get close to her. Now that thousands of years had passed, wouldn't those people from back then have long been buried in the endless passage of time? Even their names had been hidden in the depths of time. Who would still remember where their tombstones were? Seeing Qin Yao's somewhat suspicious and subtle expression, Gu Xingyin laughed inwardly. "If I don't scare you, do you really think I'm a pushover?" However, she seemed to have completely underestimated Qin Yao's persistence in her. Even when he heard her threatening words, Qin Yao's expression only changed for a short time. He had returned to normal before night fell. Chapter 2087. There were countless dangers hidden in the mountains, which were rarely seen by humans. Qin Yao released the aura of the ancient mystic fox, and those demons who had a certain level of intelligence did not dare to come forward to court death. Only those uncivilized beasts, who could not sense the danger of the person in front of them, would naively think that it was a feast falling from the sky. Of course, these beasts were all killed by Qin Yao in the end and became a feast for him and Gu Xingyin. During this period of time, Qin Yao was the one who prepared the food to fill their stomachs. Speaking of which, he felt strange. As the king of the ancient mystic fox clan, he had always been served by others. When had he ever done his best to take care of others? If someone had told Qin Yao that one day, he would wash his hands and make soup for a woman, he would have thrown fox fire at him without hesitation to wash his head. But now, he did it so naturally that he did not feel that there was anything wrong with it. Gu Xingyin sat quietly on the side and watched the man put some fresh mushrooms into the meat soup to make it taste better. To be honest, Qin Yao had made it very obvious. Even Gu Xingyin could see that he had fallen in love with her. Otherwise, if you ask him to change to another person, see if he would do all this for another person. However, this man always thought that he was only interested in Gu Xingyin's powerful strength and beautiful appearance. Since he thought so, let him be. It was rare for Gu Xingyin to have some bad thoughts. She wanted to see when this man would realize her true feelings. Both of them walked very fast. After another day, they had completely entered the southernmost land. As soon as they got out of the mountains, Gu Xingyin felt a wave of heat blowing on her face. It was said that the southernmost land was once the place where the divine beast Vermilion Bird died. Therefore, it was hot all year round and there was endless magma. The Vermilion Bird fire that Gu Xingyin was looking for was actually a small fire pool. At first glance, the fire pool did not look very different from magma. However, if one looked carefully, one would find that although there were raging flames in the pool, the water underground was still clear. The fire burned in the water and fire reached a perfect harmony. In the entire Tianxian land, only the Vermilion Bird fire in the extreme south could do it. Of course, most people wouldn't be able to withstand the temperature of the Vermilion Bird flames. If it was an ordinary person or a martial artist who was not strong enough, the Vermilion Bird fire would have turned them into ashes. Only a demigod like Gu Xingyin would be bold enough to use the Vermilion Bird's flames to cleanse her body. She glanced at Qin Yao. Qin Yao understood what she meant. I'll be waiting for you not far away. If there's anything, remember to let me know. Qin Yao was a little worried and reminded her. Gu Xingyin nodded. Seeing Qin Yao's figure disappear behind the rock, Gu Xingyin made sure that there was no one else around. Her hands moved slightly. The clothes on his body instantly slid down. Naked, she slowly walked into the Vermilion Bird fire pond. Hot. The body of a demigod was almost invulnerable to swords and spears. Ordinary water and fire could not penetrate it. However, when Gu Xingyin put her feet in, she felt a scorching temperature. This was only the beginning. She gritted her teeth and slowly allowed her entire body to sink into it. Her body shuddered violently, and it was as if all of the Vermilion Bird flames in the fire pond had found their target, and were rushing toward her body in a frenzy. Chapter 2088. Even with Gu Xingyin's endurance, she couldn't help but let out a muffled groan. It was too painful. It was as if there were countless tongues of fire drilling into every part of her body, gnawing away at every part of her body. The pain was extreme. But in this extreme pain, there was another feeling faintly mixed in. Ever since she woke up, Gu Xingyin could feel that her body wasn't completely under her control. This was the aftereffect of thousands of years of deep sleep. Her flesh and bones had deteriorated, and a considerable part of it had even become useless. And these flames, while wreaking havoc in Gu Xingyin's body, were also devouring the deteriorated flesh and blood. Gu Xingyin could very clearly feel that as time slowly passed, the temperature in her body was gradually rising, especially the right side of her body, which had already begun to slowly regain consciousness. But it was also more painful. Cold sweat dripped down along her fair forehead. Gu Xingyin couldn't think clearly, and she didn't know how long this torturous torture would continue for. A rustling sound suddenly entered her ears. Gu Xingyin's originally somewhat tired mind suddenly sobered up, and she sharply looked ahead. A small dark red snake was wriggling in her direction. Gu Xingyin, it was really a case of when it rains, it pours. At this moment, she couldn't divert her attention to deal with this little fellow. To be fair, Gu Xingyin wasn't afraid of snakes. This snake wasn't ugly either, and its entire body was exquisite. The blood-like color of its scales even had a jade-like luster. Gu Xingyin quickly knew what this thing was. Rock snake, a low-level demonic beast, was considered a specialty of the extreme south, and was a rare demonic beast that could survive in this high temperature. Gu Xingyin didn't move, and watched as the rock snake slowly slithered towards the vermilion bird fire pool she was in. It stopped at the edge of the fire pool, and obviously noticed Gu Xingyin. The man and the snake stared at each other. After a while, Rock Snake actually probed his head down slowly. Gu Xingyin, she thought for a moment and blew on it. The snake was instantly blown away like a gust of wind. No one knew where it went. Gu Xingyin heaved a sigh of relief. Although she was not afraid of this thing, she felt a little disgusted at the sight of this coiled soft thing. However, the next moment, she felt something biting her arm. Gu Xingyin lowered her head and saw a small green snake. What the hell? This snake had obviously just snuck in from the back. Gu Xingyin was completely focused on the vermilion bird fire pond and didn't notice it. This snake was obviously not the same species as the rock snake. Gu Xingyin glanced at it, but could not recognize what it was. She didn't feel any pain on her arm. Obviously, Gu Xingyin's skin couldn't be bitten by this kind of low-level demonic beast. What surprised her was that before she could do anything, the snake suddenly turned into a stream of green water and blended into the vermilion bird fire pool. Gu Xingyin. She hurriedly called the system. What's going on? Could he still soak in this vermilion bird fire pond that had been spiked? Actually, Gu Xingyin didn't need to say anything, the system was already checking the information. Host, don't worry, this is not a real demonic beast. The system comforted Gu Xingyin. This small green snake that was cut off by the vermilion bird fire should be a plant that grows in the extreme south, jade grass. Chapter 2089. Qin Yao was suddenly enlightened. So it turned out to be like this. She had a different place in his heart compared to others. He liked her. Gu Xingyin, who was rushing back to the Phoenix clan, didn't expect that Qin Yao would actually lie naked on the ground in the extreme south and come to terms with his feelings. She still remembered what she had promised Huang He. After recovering from her injuries, she would return to the clan and officially announce Huang Tian's return. Huang Tian's lifelong dream was to protect the entire Phoenix clan. Gu Xingyin would naturally continue this dream. As long as Huang Tian was alive, the Phoenix clan would also be alive. However, before Gu Xingyin could rush back, the ancestral Phoenix token in her hand suddenly lit up. Ancestor Huang He's voice sounded. "Aunt, the clan is in trouble." This short sentence caused Gu Xingyin's heart to tremble. Who was Huang He? He was a dignified profound sage powerhouse, an existence at the peak of the entire profound sky continent. What kind of enemy could make him so panicked? What kind of existence was it? Gu Xingyin didn't think too much about it. She raised her speed to the limit and rushed toward the Phoenix clan. At the same time, she called out the system that was in hibernation. "System, help me check what happened to the Phoenix clan." The system quickly gave an answer. The Yin family, which has always been at odds with the Phoenix clan, joined forces with several other clans and suddenly launched a sneak attack on the Phoenix clan. Sneak attack. Gu Xingyin frowned. This kind of thing was somewhat unusual. After all, the Phoenix clan had profound sages. Unless the other party was confident that they could keep the two profound sages of the Phoenix clan here today, the revenge of the two profound sages couldn't be underestimated, no matter what kind of clan it was. However, when the system reported the clans that had cooperated with the Yin family, Gu Xingyin fell silent. Those clans were all well known in the profound sky continent for their intelligence. Even if they couldn't compare to the Phoenix clan and the Yin clan, they still had at least one profound sage powerhouse overseeing them. Otherwise, the Yin family wouldn't have put them in their eyes. Then there was an even bigger problem. What was it that was worth them taking such a huge risk? For example, the Phoenix clan was a large clan that had lasted for tens of thousands of years. Their in-laws were spread throughout the entire continent, and most of the clan's disciples were not in the clan. Leaving aside whether they could succeed or not, even if they succeeded, what they would have to face next would be the frenzied retaliation of the surviving members of the Phoenix clan. Since they made such a plan, they must be certain that the things they obtained from the Phoenix clan would be sufficient to make up for all the losses they might face. What was it? For this reason, the system indicated that it could not find out either. Gu Xingyin did not delay and rushed over to the Phoenix clan. At the same time, within the Phoenix clan, the magnificent courtyard had long been reduced to a mess. With Huang He in the lead, the two profound sages of the Phoenix clan protected their clansmen behind them as they angrily looked at the people in front of them. Behind them was the sacred ground of the Phoenix clan. There was no path of retreat. And in front of them, there were enemies eyeing them covetously. Ancestor Huang He's expression was gloomy. "Yin Jiao, why did you bring these people to ambush my Huang clan?" Although he was angry, he was also puzzled in his heart. The Phoenix clan had always been low-key. Although they couldn't stand the overbearing and flamboyant behavior of the Yin clan, both sides had always minded their own business and didn't have any deep hatred. Chapter 2090. The Yin clan's sudden move had caught them off guard. Of course, he had asked this question to stall for time. Yin Jiao, the patriarch of the Yin clan, smiled sinisterly when he heard these words. "I know you are stalling for time, Senior Huang He." Although he was smiling, his expression was full of malice. "In terms of seniority, I have to call you senior. Since you have doubts, I should naturally answer them." He extended his hand and pointed at the Holy Land behind the Phoenix clan. "Senior Huang He, why don't you tell us, what kind of secret is hidden in the Holy Land behind us?" Another profound sage of the Phoenix clan next to Huang He had an angry expression. "The Holy Land of the Phoenix clan enshrines the heroic spirits of our ancestors. Why are you asking this?" Yin Jiao had an indescribable expression when he heard this. "I received news that there is a secret to breaking into the profound sage realm hidden in the Phoenix clan's holy land." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone of the Phoenix clan was stunned. Huang He glanced at the expression of Yin Jiao and his descendants. Inwardly, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He suddenly laughed. "So, this is the reason you launched a sneak attack on my Phoenix clan?" Yin Jiao did not speak, but the expression on his face had already explained everything. Huang He laughed. "In any case, you are all top figures in the Tian-Xian continent. Why don't you use your brains and think that if my Phoenix clan truly had such a secret, would it be your turn to look for it? Would there not be a single elite warrior of the divine realm that broke into the profound sage realm in my Phoenix clan?" Being ridiculed by him in such a blatant manner, the expressions of the group of elite warriors became somewhat unsightly. However, Yin Jiao still smiled sinisterly. "Whether it is true or not, we will know when we go in and investigate." As soon as he said these words, the previously hesitant expressions of the people instantly turned serious. Huang He's expression sank when he saw this. He said coldly, "It seems that today, you all truly do not plan to be kind. You all have to think, even if today, all the disciples of the Phoenix clan have fallen here. My Phoenix clan still has many disciples in other places. You all have families, are you not afraid that your families will not have peace in the future?" Yin Jiao smiled coldly. "Thus, today, we will kill all of the people here." He glanced at the members of the Phoenix clan behind Huang He. "As long as we don't leave anyone alive, who would know how your entire Phoenix clan died?" "What arrogance!" A cold female voice suddenly came from the sky. At the same time, a terrifying aura descended from the sky, pressing down on the crowd. This might was clearly only targeted at the people Yin Jiao had brought with him. The members of the Phoenix clan did not sense anything wrong at all. A hint of joy appeared on Huang He's face. Yin Jiao's expression changed. He could sense that the enormous pressure had landed on his body, and even the circulation of the mystic chi in his body had become sluggish. In mid-air, a white figure walked towards the crowd step by step. It was clear that there was nothing beneath her feet, but this white-robed woman seemed to be stepping on some invisible staircase. Step by step, she descended and arrived in front of the Phoenix clan. Stepping on the void was the symbol of a profound sage powerhouse. Seeing that Gu Xingyin was suppressing several profound sages with her aura alone, Ancestor Huang He's face was filled with excitement. Aunt Huang Tian. He took 2 steps forward and bowed respectfully to Gu Xingyin. Gu Xingyin waved at him and turned to look at the people in front of her, who were drenched in cold sweat. Just now, I heard that you all want to kill all the members of my Phoenix clan here today. Chapter 2091. Yin Jiao's expression was very unsightly. As one of the top clans of the profound sky continent, everyone had a clear understanding of each other's strength. He was very sure that the Phoenix clan only had 2 profound sages. However, when did Ancestor Huang He's aunt appear? Who was Ancestor Huang He? She was an old monster who had lived for thousands of years. In front of Ancestor Huang He, even Yin Jiao, and the other profound sages around him, could only be regarded as juniors. If Ancestor Huang He was serious about calling her that, Yin Jiao only felt a chill rise from his chest. Just how old was this mysterious white-robed woman? He squeezed out a smile. May I know who this senior is? Gu Xingyin did not speak, but Ancestor Huang He, who was standing beside her, had already spoken for her. Haven't you always been curious about what is in the holy land of our clan? I will tell you now. All these years, my aunt Huang Tian has been in seclusion in the holy land. He sneered. What breaking through to the profound sage realm? It's just a rumor. In the end, he was careful and did not say what Huang Tian had been doing for thousands of years. He only said that she was in seclusion. However, this was enough to shock Yin Jiao and the others. Yin Jiao felt the huge power that fell on his body and thought about how to resolve the situation in front of him. Gu Xingyin only glanced at them indifferently, and everyone felt a chill run down their spines. You still haven't answered me. How do you want to leave all of my clansmen here? No joy or anger could be heard from her tone, but everyone could feel the killing intent coming from her body. Yin Jiao was somewhat speechless. If it had just been an ordinary profound sage, they might have been able to resist the other party by relying on their numbers. But now, standing in front of them was a woman who had lived for an unknown number of years and could suppress 5 profound sages by herself. Yin Jiao even suspected that this woman, who was said to be Ancestor Huang He's aunt, had already surpassed the profound sage realm and stepped into the legendary realm. The legendary realm. Thinking of this possibility, Yin Jiao sucked in a breath of cold air. He squeezed out a smile and said, Senior, this is actually just a misunderstanding. Gu Xingyin snorted coldly with a faint smile on her face. Her words were like a heavy blow to everyone's heart. She took 3 steps forward, and with each step, the pressure that fell on everyone's body seemed to increase by a bit. By the time he reached the 3rd step, apart from the few profound sages, the rest of the people who had followed Yin Jiao had already been pressed down to the point of bending down. There were even some with weaker cultivations who directly knelt in front of the Phoenix clan members. The members of the Phoenix clan standing behind Gu Xingyin all had happy expressions on their faces. These people were so arrogant when they faced them earlier. Now, they were suppressed to the point where they couldn't even raise their heads. It was so ironic. The Yin family, the Chen family, the Shengguan family, the Yan family. Gu Xingyin pointed out the families of the profound sages one by one. Tell me, do you think I can kill all of you here today? As soon as she said this, the faces of the people in front of her turned pale. Yin Jiao reluctantly said, if we all die in the Phoenix clan, it will be difficult for your Phoenix clan to explain to the other families of the continent. Explain. Gu Xingyin suddenly laughed. With me, Huang Tian, here, why would my Phoenix clan need to explain to others? Chapter 2092. The clansmen of the Phoenix clan behind her did not feel much, but they felt that the words spoken by this unknown ancestor made their hearts sway. Only Ancestor Huang He's entire body shook when he heard these words. The eyes of the 1,000-year-old ancestor almost turned red in front of everyone. This was because only he had experienced the most glorious era of the Phoenix clan. At that time, the Phoenix clan was the #1 clan in the profound sky continent. Wherever the disciples of the Phoenix clan went, there was no one who did not worship and respect them. However, their glory was not permanent. After thousands of years, although the current Phoenix clan relied on 2 profound sages and was still ranked among the first-rate clans, they were no longer as powerful as they were in the past. Otherwise, how could clans like the Yin clan and Shangguan clan have the guts to scheme against the Phoenix clan? He looked at his aunt, who could be considered a legendary figure during the most glorious period of the Phoenix clan, with a burning gaze, and a lofty feeling suddenly appeared in his heart. The morale of the clansmen of the Phoenix clan was greatly boosted by Gu Xingyin's words, but the expressions of the clansmen of the other clans directly changed. From Gu Xingyin's tone, there was no possibility of reconciliation at all. Yin Jiao turned his head and looked at the others, nodding to each other without leaving a trace. Since there was no way to coexist harmoniously, then, attack. Yin Jiao shouted, and the profound qi on their bodies surged, forcibly breaking through the pressure brought about by Gu Xingyin's domain and attacking her. Gu Xingyin sneered. She had long seen through the nature of these people and knew that they would most likely choose to fight to the death if they did not agree. She blocked Ancestor Huang He and Yin Jiao, who were about to step forward to help. A white light flashed in her left hand, and a simple longbow appeared in her hand. As soon as this longbow appeared, a terrifying aura was instantly emitted from it. The pupils of Yin Jiao and the others shrank. This is, Ancestor Huang He's expression shook. The most precious treasure of my Phoenix clan, the ancestral divine artifact, the ancestral Phoenix bow. Gu Xingyin's figure rose from the ground, and she looked down at the 5 profound sages below. She placed her right hand on the bowstring, and 5 flame-like arrows suddenly appeared on the originally empty bowstring. Yin Jiao and the others only felt that something extremely terrifying seemed to be staring at them. Yin Jiao was the first to react. Not good, retreat quickly. Retreat? Could they retreat? Gu Xingyin sneered, I, Huang Tian, am not dead yet. The Huang clan is not a place for you to be impudent. I, Huang Tian, am not dead yet. The Huang clan is not a place for you to act impudently. I, Huang Tian, am not dead yet. The Huang clan is not a place for you to act impudently. I, Huang Tian, am not dead yet. The Huang clan is not a place for you to act impudently. Almost at this moment, the cold female voice spread across the entire Tianxian land. The entire continent was shaken. At the same time, Gu Xingyin loosened the bowstring on her right hand. 5 meteor-like arrows with bright light and the power to cut through space instantly caught up with the 5 rapidly retreating profound sages. Bang! There was a loud bang, and a huge light appeared. When everything was over, seeing that Gu Xingyin did not move, Ancestor Huang He and another profound sage of the Huang clan rushed to the place where the 5 profound sages had been. In a short while, the 2 of them returned. However, the shock and absent-mindedness on their faces could not be concealed. 1 move. 5 arrows. Of the 5 profound sages, 4 were dead and 1 was injured. Gu Xingyin looked at the half-dead Yin Jiao, who was being dragged by Ancestor Huang He, with some surprise. She did not expect that he would still be alive after receiving her all-out attack. However, it did not matter if he was alive. She indifferently ordered, cripple him and hang him outside the Huang clan's mansion. Let everyone open their eyes and see the consequences of angering the Huang clan. Today's update was complete. I feel great about myself. Quickly give me a vote to praise me, carrot oh carrot. Chapter 2093. Huang Bing stood behind Gu Xingyin. Like many other young clansmen, she had been protected by the elders with high cultivation when the enemy had attacked. At this moment, she was standing among a group of clansmen in a daze, looking at Gu Xingyin, who was standing beside her two ancestors with a cold expression. Looking at her appearance and listening to her voice and tone, Huang Bing had long recognized her. She was the senior who had come to find her when she was in the Xian family. At that time, she was just curious that this unknown senior had the ancestral phoenix token. Only now did she know that there was such a powerful ancestor hidden in the Phoenix clan. When she saw ancestor Huang Tian's true appearance, Huang Bing's first reaction was to feel ashamed of her inferiority. She had always been proud of her own appearance. In the Tian Xian land, she could be considered one of the top beauties. However, when she saw ancestor Huang Tian without a hood, she felt for the first time what it meant to have a peerless appearance. It was no wonder that patriarch Qin Yao, who had always been arrogant, would fall in love with her. However, this kind of emotion only flashed for a short moment. In the face of the life and death of the clan, personal relationships were instantly insignificant. At that time, Huang Bing looked at the foreign clansmen who were eyeing them covetously and thought that if she really couldn't escape this time, even if she died, she would drag a few of them down with her. Then, Huang Tian made his move. It was like a magnificent and shocking solo performance. Huang Bing looked at this person with wide eyes. One person, one bow, and 5 arrows. In just one move, she killed all the profound sages who were enough to threaten the safety of the entire Phoenix clan. Looking at the white-robed woman who still had an indifferent expression after killing 4 profound sages, Huang Bing felt her heart beating very fast, and the blood in her body seemed to be boiling. Too cool. I hope that I can also become such a woman in my lifetime. She opened her eyes wide and looked at Gu Xingyin, who was giving instructions on how to deal with the aftermath. For a moment, she couldn't help but feel agitated and was about to step forward. Suddenly, another powerful pressure pressed down on the Phoenix clan. Ancestor Huang He and the other profound sage standing next to Gu Xingyin instantly reacted and took defensive stances. Could it be that the people from those clans had helpers? Gu Xingyin's expression did not change. Soon, a black-robed figure flew across the sky at an extremely fast speed. Like a gentle but swift wind, he quickly landed in front of Gu Xingyin. Are you alright? Qin Yao's expression still carried a trace of worry. He scanned his surroundings and reached out to hold Gu Xingyin's hand. He carefully examined her body and found that there was nothing wrong with her. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. Ancestor Huang He and the other profound sage standing on the side had strange expressions on their faces. When they saw someone rushing over at that speed, they thought it was an enemy attack. Just as they were about to stop the person, they heard Gu Xingyin say, "Don't worry, it's not an enemy." Then, they watched as the handsome man in black hurried to Huang Tian's side. He held Huang Tian's hand as if he was an outsider, as if he was checking on the situation. The important thing was that Senior Huang Tian didn't refuse. Not to mention others, even ancestor Huang He, who had a very close blood relationship with Huang Tian, maintained enough respect and distance when facing this ant who was calm and indifferent to everything. Chapter 2094. This was because everyone could feel that Senior Huang Tian's personality was rather cold. Coupled with her cultivation and backup, she subconsciously isolated herself from the rest of the people. Ordinary people really did not have the guts to get close to her. This black-robed man. Ancestor Huang He and the other profound sage looked at each other. They both felt as if they had discovered something incredible. Gu Xingyin allowed Qin Yao to carefully examine her before replying, "I'm fine." Qin Yao finally relaxed at this moment. Only the heavens knew how anxious he had been when he heard Gu Xingyin's words on the way here. After interacting with Huang Tian for so many days, he was clear about her personality. No matter how cold she was, she could not restrain herself. To be able to force her to say such words, what exactly did the other party do? Qin Yao did not care what the other party's motive was. The only thing he was afraid of was that Gu Xingyin would be hurt. His rationality told him that with Huang Tian's cultivation, almost no one in the profound sky continent could do anything to her. However, once a person fell in love, things related to their lover could not be controlled by reason alone. Qin Yao seemed to have used the fastest speed in his entire life to rush towards the Phoenix clan. The two of them said a few more words. Qin Yao did not hide the worry on his face and the affection in his eyes at all. In the eyes of others, the two of them were graceful and elegant, and their actions were extremely intimate. It was as if they were a match made in heaven. Only Huang Bing felt a little complicated at this moment. Logically speaking, as someone who had been in love with Qin Yao not long ago and had been dejected after her confession was rejected, she should have felt uncomfortable seeing him being intimate with another woman. She was indeed feeling a little uncomfortable now. However, it was not towards Gu Xingyin, who had snatched away her sweetheart, but towards Qin Yao, whom she had admired before. She felt that no one in the profound sky continent was worthy of such a powerful and beautiful person like ancestor Huang Tian. Even if it was Patriarch Qin Yao, whom she had liked before. When Huang Bing had admired her before, she had only thought that she was good in every way. However, now that she was standing next to Gu Xingyin, she could not help but start to pick on her. His appearance was too eye-catching and he always attracted bees and butterflies. He would probably bring a lot of trouble to Patriarch Huang Tian in the future. He couldn't tell how strong he was, but he didn't think he was much stronger than old ancestor Huang Tian. He might even need old ancestor Huang Tian to protect him. It was said that the ancient Sky Fox clan was arrogant and didn't know how to be considerate. There should be someone by ancestor Huang Tian's side who was considerate. Qin Yao was talking to Gu Xingyin about something when he suddenly felt a gaze fall on him. He turned around and saw a beautiful woman in yellow clothes looking at him with a complicated expression. Qin Yao's memory wasn't bad. He naturally remembered that he had just rejected this girl not long ago. Right, she seemed to have said that she was a direct descendant of the Phoenix clan. The worst thing was, Huang Tian had been watching from the tree when he had confessed to her. Looking at her now, could it be that she still couldn't forget about him? Qin Yao turned around and met Gu Xingyin's half-smiling gaze. He could not help but have a headache. Why did he used to think that being admired was a pleasurable thing? How should he explain this? Chapter 2095. Gu Xingyin noticed Huang Bing's gaze, of course. With the strength of a demigod's divine soul, they could sense any changes in their surroundings instantly. Not to mention Huang Bing's gaze. Qin Yao immediately expressed his stance. Other than you, I've never been intimate with anyone of the opposite sex. Gu Xingyin still didn't say anything. She just looked at him coldly. Qin Yao continued, not in the future either. Seeing that Gu Xingyin still didn't say anything, Qin Yao looked like he was going to say something. Patriarch Huang, he coughed softly. He looked at Gu Xingyin. Aunt Huang Tian, you must be tired. Why don't you take a rest first? Leave this to us. The juniors behind them were still watching. Gu Xingyin nodded and left first. Qin Yao naturally hurried to leave as well. It was a good choice to go to a secluded place and talk things out. Gu Xingyin's courtyard had been meticulously decorated by Patriarch Huang he personally. The environment was very elegant. As soon as she entered, she felt a pair of arms around her waist. Qin Yao maintained his position of hugging her from behind. He gently leaned his head against her neck. Huang Tian, I, Qin Yao, can swear that other than you, I've never touched any other woman. He was a little nervous as he waited for Gu Xingyin's response. Feeling the strength around her waist increase, Gu Xingyin found it funny, but her expression didn't change. Oh. What did that mean? Qin Yao suddenly didn't know what to do. He was never a clumsy man. If he wanted to, he could easily make a girl smile with a few words. However, those were just unimportant people. In front of Huang Tian, he felt that all the skills he'd mastered to coax people in the past had disappeared. He was willing to open up his truest self to her. Perhaps this was what it meant to care. As Qin Yao thought about it, he hugged the person in his arms even more tightly. There was a hint of grievance in his voice. I want to marry you and make you my fox queen. I like you. I want you to give birth to my fox babies, it's all true. Gu Xingyin responded this time. She said, I believe what you said is true. Qin Yao's face lit up. Gu Xingyin's tone changed. But that doesn't mean that I also like you. I'm also willing to be your fox queen and even give birth to some fox babies for you. Qin Yao was stunned. Gu Xingyin said, look, there were so many girls who liked you in the past. Their love was real, but would you choose to be with them because they really liked you? Qin Yao remained silent. Although Gu Xingyin said it very casually, he still heard the hidden meaning. At the end of the day, it was all his fault. The Black Fox monarch had already begun to reflect on his own problems. He could not show any signs of fear on his face. He said to Gu Xingyin, I believe that in the profound sky continent, you and I are the most compatible. He only had one request for Gu Xingyin. Wait for me, Huang Tian. If you don't believe in my past, you can prove it with time. I can wait. I can wait for you to see my sincerity with your own eyes. At this point, Gu Xingyin felt that it was enough. She nodded, indicating that she accepted the proposal. Okay. Qin Yao smiled. Since she agreed, it meant that he was not completely ignored in her heart. As long as she had feelings for him, he was confident that one day, she would truly accept him. Chapter 2096. Apart from the two of them, no one else knew what the current relationship between Qin Yao and Gu Xingyin was. Or perhaps it was because Qin Yao appeared too intimate and natural in front of outsiders, but most people thought that the two of them were a pair of lovers who were extremely compatible. Gu Xingyin didn't expose his thoughts and let others misunderstand. Qin Yao stayed in the Phoenix clan just like that. From the second day after Gu Xingyin's return, people began to come to the Phoenix clan one after another. Old ancestor Huang He had originally planned to find a time to officially announce Gu Xingyin's return to the outside world. Now that Gu Xingyin had made this move, it couldn't be better. There was no more shocking way to make an appearance than killing 4 profound sages in one move. The families that had been invited also gave the Phoenix clan extra face. On one hand, they were very curious about this mysterious powerhouse. On the other hand, the strength that Gu Xingyin had shown was worthy of being treated with caution by any family. 3 days later, Gu Xingyin, dressed in the great sage robe of the Phoenix clan, walked out step by step in front of everyone's eyes. She didn't hide her aura at all. This was a kind of deterrence, as well as a declaration of her strength. Feeling the steady and dignified aura emanating from her body, the representatives of the major families that had come to participate in this convention all showed dignified expressions. Although they had heard about her reputation of killing 4 profound sages in one move, the difference between hearing about it and personally experiencing it was undoubtedly huge. Gu Xingyin, who was standing on the high platform, lowered her eyes and looked around. Seeing the expressions of those people, the corners of her mouth raised into a satisfied smile. Very good. Qin Yao looked at the woman on the high platform, whose clothes fluttered in the wind as she enjoyed the worship of everyone's eyes, and a feeling of pride suddenly welled up in his heart. This was the woman he had fallen in love with. She was beautiful, powerful, and so dazzling that no one dared to look directly at her. But only in front of him would she show a different kind of beauty. After this day, Huang Tian's name was known by the entire continent. It was rumored that she was the most beautiful woman in the entire profound sky continent. Many self-proclaimed romantic young masters had purposely gone to places near the Phoenix clan, hoping to catch a glimpse of the beauty's face. It was rumored that her cultivation had long surpassed the profound sage realm and entered a higher realm. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for her to suppress 5 profound sages with one move. It was rumored that she had lived for an unknown number of years. Even ancestor Huang He, who had been in the Phoenix clan for thousands of years, had to respectfully address her as aunt. It was rumored that, regarding this name, there were too many rumors in the Tianxian land. And now, Gu Xingyin, who was worshipped by countless young people and regarded as their lifelong goal, had a huge problem. She was pregnant. No one had expected that she would be pregnant with the bloodline of the ancient Sky Fox clan after such an accident. Gu Xingyin was a little worried. She originally didn't intend to let Qin Yao go so quickly. Although this guy had been behaving quite well during this period of time, as if he had found his true love and had kept himself clean and didn't play around anymore. But now, it was impossible. Even if it was for the sake of the baby in her belly, Gu Xingyin had to suppress Qin Yao and quickly settle the relationship between the two of them. She didn't want the child in her belly to be born without a proper name. So, she called Qin Yao over. Chapter 2097. Qin Yao, who was called out, was flattered. During this period of time, he had always been the one who took the initiative to be enthusiastic, while Gu Xingyin's reaction had always been indifferent. It was rare that she actually took the initiative to look for him this time. Qin Yao entered Gu Xingyin's courtyard with a face full of smiles. Then, he heard a piece of news that made him dumbfounded. "In my stomach, there is an extra seed of yours." Qin Yao felt that he could understand every single word that Gu Xingyin said, but when they were put together, the meaning was somewhat unclear to him. He was in a daze for a while before he woke up from that hazy state. He looked at Gu Xingyin with wild joy. "You are pregnant?" One must know that in the demon clan, the more noble the bloodline, the harder it was to have children. It was the same in the human clan. The higher the cultivation of the parents, the harder it was to have children. For strong cultivators in the demigod realm like Gu Xingyin and Qin Yao, the possibility of being able to raise a child was almost negligible. But he got it on the first try. In his joy, Qin Yao did not care whether Gu Xingyin's attitude was cold or not. He directly ran over and pulled Gu Xingyin into his arms, hugging her and spinning her in circles in the courtyard. "I am really too happy." He pressed his forehead against Gu Xingyin's forehead, his eyes sparkling. "What do you think should be a good name for our child?" Gu Xingyin, he was thinking too far ahead. She coughed lightly. "At present, the two of us," she wanted to say that they did not have an official status yet. Qin Yao immediately opened his mouth to interrupt her. "I will immediately send a message back to the clan to prepare for the wedding." He had made up his mind. If Gu Sheng was still unwilling after this, he would snatch him away even if he had to use force. Who knew that Gu Xingyin would only glare? "Where do you plan to hold the wedding?" "At my Phoenix clan's big wedding." Seeing that she was unhappy, Qin Yao quickly coaxed her. Okay, as long as you're happy." He suddenly stopped talking and looked at Gu Xingyin with sparkling eyes. "What did you just say?" "Wedding." She actually agreed. Gu Xingyin secretly glared at him. "I'm just doing it for the sake of the child." Before she could finish her sentence, a gentle kiss landed on the corner of her lips. She looked up and saw Qin Yao's smile. "I know. I'm very happy." What kind of person was Huang Tian? If she was really unwilling, even if she had a child, she would not let herself suffer because of this. Qin Yao saw through it in his heart, but he didn't show it on his face. As long as she was happy. No matter what, she was his now. Since she was his partner, he just had to pamper her. A month later, the Phoenix clan and the ancient Black Fox clan had a marriage alliance. When the news spread out, it crushed the hearts of countless youths. Not to mention their strength, just based on their looks alone, there were quite a number of people who secretly admired them. However, now that the male and female gods had been digested, those people could only give their blessings in tears. After 8 months, Gu Xingyin gave birth to a pair of little princesses of the Black Fox clan. It was rumored that this legendary couple often changed their residence. Many people in the Tianxian land said that they had seen this pair of peerless beauty somewhere. After their daughters had grown up, Gu Xingyin and Qin Yao started to enter a long period of solitary training. They wanted to break through that supreme stage. 500 years later, suddenly, 7 colored rays of light appeared above the Phoenix clan. Sweet rain fell from the sky and did not stop for 7 days. The entire Phoenix clan within a radius of 100 miles received the gift. Everyone said that the great sage of the Phoenix clan, Huang Tian, had finally stepped into the legendary stage. Another 500 years later, the Phoenix clan appeared again. From then on, no one in the Tianxian land had ever seen Huang Tian and his wife. Since then, the Phoenix clan had become the #1 clan in the Tianxian land. This world ends here. 5 chapters, I owe 1 chapter, I will make it up tomorrow at 7. Tomorrow, I will write the last world of the main text. Good night everyone. Chapter 2098. Gu Xingyin returned to the pure white space, and some kind of power flowed into her body. This was a gift from the mission world. She closed her eyes and carefully felt the power in her body. System. She smiled. I think I can go out now. After several attempts, she was now confident that the space-time crack could no longer hold her. A white light flashed on the system. No, host, you still need to complete the last mission world. Gu Xingyin frowned in confusion. What do you mean? The system replied, when the host goes there, you will know. Gu Xingyin still wanted to ask something, but the system replied, whatever the host wants to know, you can get the answer in this world. At this point, what else could Gu Xingyin say? The familiar feeling of dizziness surrounded her again. At the beginning of the chaos, this land was full of spiritual energy. Many innate spiritual creatures with great luck also got the opportunity to cultivate and transform into human form. At the foot of the Kunlun Mountains, a misty green light suddenly appeared on a patch of green grass. After the green light dissipated, a figure in green clothes stood up. She curiously looked at the world around her, and her clear eyes were full of curiosity. Who was she? Where was this? Her spiritual sense was just born in this world, and everything in this world was strange and new to her. She tried to walk outside, and along the way, she saw birds with beautiful feathers flying in the sky, and also saw a Taoist priest walking on the ground with a huge gourd. Hey, where did you come from? A clear voice called her. She stopped, turned around, and looked at a beautiful young man in a white robe in surprise. Are you calling me? She blinked her eyes. The young man in white nodded, and then frowned. Looking at your spiritual energy, you just transformed, right? Walking around like this, aren't you afraid of being targeted? She tilted her head and looked at the young man in white. Her sharp perception of the surroundings told her that this young man with a pure aura would not hurt her. The young man in white muttered to himself, and suddenly patted his head. Oh right, I haven't said, my name is Baizé, what's your name? If she had a little common sense, she would know that the name Baizé was not something that anyone could call him. The divine beast Baizé was a natural auspicious beast. Even in the desolate realm, where spiritual energy was abundant, it could be considered an extremely noble birth. But she did not understand the meaning, and said with some confusion, she did not have a name. Bai Zhe almost instantly understood her difficulties. He looked at her and said, "Since you don't have a name, how about I call you Ayin?" Ayin. She repeated the name twice. She felt that it was somewhat familiar, but she couldn't recall it. "Thank you very much. I'll be called Ayin from now on," she said happily. Seeing her so happy, Bai Zhe also smiled. You can be considered a natural spiritual root that transformed into a human. Although you have spiritual intelligence after transforming, and are no longer an ignorant thing, ordinary people will not have any ideas about you. But there are still some ruthless people, and it is very dangerous for you to be alone outside. Bai Zhe said to her. Hearing this, Yin fell silent. Chapter 2099. Although she was unfamiliar with the things around her, she was an innate spiritual creature after all. She could vaguely sense whether things were good or bad. In these days, she had seen many people who harbored ill intentions towards her. However, she was timid and cautious. As a plant, she was proficient in the ability to escape through the ground. She always managed to escape. Then what should I do? She said uneasily. Bai Zhe looked at the little girl in front of him. On her fair and delicate face, her good-looking eyebrows were tightly knitted and her face was puffed up. She seemed to be very distressed and hesitant. She looked so cute. He really wanted to pinch her face, cough. Bai Zhe struggled to control the thoughts in his heart and put on a serious face. Why don't you follow me for this period of time? I'll take you around this land and teach you some general knowledge and spells in an instant. I have to let you know how to protect yourself. Yin's eyes instantly lit up. She carefully tugged at Bai Zhe's sleeve, who was not much taller than her. She revealed a big smile. Bai Zhe, you're so nice. Bai Zhe looked at the little girl's big sparkling eyes and felt his hands start to itch again. From this day onwards, Yin Zhao's follower followed behind Bai Zhe. It was night. The Sun Star Master closed his eyes. The Moon Star rose slowly into the sky. The primitive land was covered in darkness. Let's rest today. Bai Zhe found a good cave residence and cleaned it with a spell. Then, he walked in with Yin. Yin trusted this new little friend very much. Whatever he said, she would do it. She gradually closed her eyes and allowed her divine sense to fall into a dream. In a trance, Yin felt that she had come to another place. No, she felt as if she had become something strange. She had no eyes and could not feel her own body. However, she could see everything in this world. Although it was called a world, from beginning to end, it was just an endless gray. What was this place? The surroundings were very oppressive. She tried to let her divine sense go further, hoping to find something else. But there was nothing. Her consciousness could spread to very, very, very far places. However, no matter how far she went, she saw the same scene. There was no distinction between up and down, left and right. The entire world was a chaotic gray gas. He didn't know how long he had been in this muddle-headed state. Yin didn't remember that she was Yin, and she didn't know where she was. Until one day, a different light suddenly appeared in this endless gray gas. Like an unsheathed sharp sword, it instantly split apart the misty darkness. The gray gas slowly separated, gradually expanding, and expanding again. Wherever the gray gas passed, a clear sky appeared at the top, with wisps of white clouds. Below them, thick soil appeared, as well as mountains and rivers. And the place where he was the area with the highest concentration of gray gas. She still didn't know what she was, because her whole body was surrounded by a thick gray gas. Time flowed by like an eternity. At first, Ah-in felt bored, but slowly, she began to feel numb. Time no longer had any meaning to her. Until one day, the gray gas that had been surrounding his body began to slowly dissipate. Chapter 2100. Ah-in was pleasantly surprised. Because for such a long time, in this world, there was only the quiet sky and earth. The entire world was terrifyingly quiet, without a trace of vitality. She wanted to speak, she wanted to shout loudly. Seeing that the gray color slowly, began to spread in all directions, Ah-in was very much looking forward to what she was about to see. Ah-in. A clear young man's voice woke her up. She opened her eyes in a daze and saw Baizay's handsome face. Oh! She rubbed her eyes, only then did she notice that the cave abode was already bright. Baizay glanced at her and clicked his tongue in wonder. You can really sleep, I called you several times, but you didn't hear. Ah-in just sat there in a daze. Last night, she seemed to have had a dream. But, what did she dream of? She kept feeling that the dream was very long, but when she thought about it carefully, she only felt that the dream was a blur, she could not remember what she dreamed of at all. What's wrong with you? Baizay saw her dazed look, he was a little worried. Ah-in came back to her senses and said hesitantly, I seem to have had a dream, but I don't remember anything. Baizay heard this and said indifferently, I have an innate spirit body, after my cultivation is completed, it is very rare for things like dreams to appear. You can still dream, you must have just transformed not long ago, your 3 souls and 7 spirits are not very stable. He glanced at Ah-in and handed her something. Cultivate well in the future, it will naturally not happen again. Ah-in took it and saw that it was a small white jade bottle, inside it was a milky white liquid. This is a good thing I found with great difficulty at the foot of Mount Buzhou, it is most beneficial to the soul. He winked at Ah-in. Ah-in smiled gratefully, without any doubt, she drank it in one gulp. Baizay saw that this little girl trusted him so much, he could not help but feel a little worried. She was so gullible, what if she met someone with bad intentions, what would she do? Ah-in drank the liquid in the jade bottle in one gulp, in the end, she smacked her lips in appreciation. It's delicious. Baizay looked at the jade bottle with some heartache, he thought that there was only one place in the world that had good things, how could it not drink? Even for quasi-saints like the ancestral dragon and ancestral phoenix, they would keep it for themselves and use it at a critical moment. Who can drink it like water like you? However, who asked someone to be so willing to spoil you? Baizay was envious for a second. He pretended that nothing had happened and continued to walk south with Ah-in. What he had said earlier was to take Ah-in on a walk around the primitive world and teach her all kinds of spells while he was at it. Ah-in's comprehension was very high. She almost never needed to repeat the things that Baizay taught her a second time. She could always remember it clearly. The two of them didn't walk very fast, and they encountered a few guys who had bad intentions in their hearts. However, Baizay was not someone to be trifled with. After killing people several times, the number of people who came to harass him decreased significantly. Until one day, he met a tough nut to crack. The person who blocked their path was a man in a black and gold robe. He had a dignified appearance. 1,000 threads of karma grass, and you have cultivated into a human form, that's rare. He clicked his tongue in wonder and sized up Ah-in. Ah-in subconsciously hid behind Baizay, this person's gaze as if he was sizing up goods made her very uncomfortable. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.